Chapter 2755. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation, Yin Jian and CE, page 1/1. Although the doll was cumbersome, Yin Jian still smiled sweetly. Sure enough, it was a good choice to leave everything behind and travel with him in an unfamiliar place. My classmates are here. Just as CE handed the doll to Yin Jian, Han Mingming suddenly waved his hand in the distance and shouted excitedly. A group of 16 or 17-year-old boys and girls about the same age as Han Mingming came into view. Only the man standing in the middle looked to be in his 30s. He had a black beard and looked quite artistic. Mingming, this is my uncle. He graduated from Yale University of Photography and returned from overseas. He is now a famous photographer in the domestic photography industry. Today, I invited him to teach us photography. At the side, a male student named Kaneki Mu pointed at the man who was nearing his 30s. He had a face full of beard and looked very artistic. You are Mumu's classmate, right? Hello. Kim Mumu's uncle crossed his arms in front of his chest and ignored everyone without saying a word. At this moment, he suddenly glanced at CE and Yun Jian. His eyes flashed, and he suddenly put down his arrogant attitude and shook hands with Han Mingming. Although he was shaking hands with Han Mingming, this bearded man with an artistic aura was looking at CE and Yun Jian. Kim Mumu's uncle was called Jin Sheng. Yun Jian and CE naturally felt Jin Sheng's gaze, but they didn't care. Jin Sheng quickly brought Han Mingming and the others to a nearby place and taught them photography skills. However, after seeing such perfect people like CE and Yun Jian, Jin Sheng was no longer in the mood to teach Han Mingming and the others photography skills. At this time, CE and Yun Jian were walking on the street. Yun Jian was carrying a 1.5-meter tall doll that was only 15 centimeters shorter than her. It attracted the attention of passers-by. As she carried it, Yun Jian stuffed the doll into CE's hands. You bought it. Take it back for me. Yun Jian raised her head and looked at CE, who was carrying the doll with one hand. She raised her eyebrows. CE, who had always been very calm, looked like a man who had been enchanted by a vixen in front of Yun Jian. Above his handsome face, his sharp eyes were staring at Yun Jian. He couldn't help but agree softly from his thin lips. Okay. After he said that, he reached for Yun Jian's. He placed his hand on her head and her head. As you wish. Han Mingming was still learning photography from Jin Mumu's uncle, Jin Sheng. Halfway through the lesson, Jin Sheng suddenly patted Jin Mumu's shoulder. While a few of his classmates were seriously looking for angles to take photos of the surrounding people or beautiful scenery, he called his nephew Jin Mumu to the side. Uncle, why did you call me over? Jin Mumu held a camera and was very puzzled. Do you know those two people? Jin Sheng asked curiously. Which two? Jin Mumu frowned. The two people standing next to the female classmate you introduced me to, Jin Sheng said. Oh, them? I don't know them. I've never heard Mingming mention them before. They are probably new friends. Jin Mumu replied. When Jin Sheng heard this, he suddenly looked around. Then, he leaned over and whispered into Jin Sheng's ear. That couple is so beautiful. I've never seen such a handsome man and a beautiful woman in my life. I'm going to participate in the International Body Art Photography Competition next month. There are too few perfect models who are willing to take photos naked. If I can get these two to cooperate with me to take photos of the body art, I'll definitely win the competition. Mumu, help me get them. In the second half of the year, I'll help you apply for admission to the Overseas Yale University of Photography. Book Guesthouse Reading Website. Chapter 2756. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation, Yin Jian and CE, page 1/1. Yin Jian gave Han Mingming a call and went back to her house first. Han Mingming was also a good girl. She returned home before 8 o'clock in the evening. As soon as she got home, Han Mingming knocked on Yin Jian and CE's bedroom door. CE was in the bathroom. Yin Jian walked out of the room. Standing in the corridor, Han Mingming said excitedly to Yun Jian, Sister, I have a male classmate tonight. He said that he knows a tour group and can bring you and brother to sign up tomorrow night. That Mandarin Duck Valley is too big. Since sister and brother are going there to have fun, just leave it to the tour group and don't worry about anything else. Sister, if you think it's okay to go with the tour group, I'll tell my classmate that you agreed to go. Yun Jian and Si had never been on a tour group before, but Yun Jian agreed. Sure, there was indeed an advantage to going with a tour group, and that was that they didn't have to find their own way. From the beginning of this global tour, Si was the one who led the way, and Yun Jian was only responsible for following. It was a very happy thing to follow someone and not have to find their own way. During this period of time, Si couldn't even bear to let Yun Jian drag her luggage. It was said that the 7-year itch was fresh for some couples in the first few years, but by the 7th year, it was very likely that they would be tired of each other. Although Yun Jian and Si had just registered their marriage, they had known each other for more than 1,000 years. Si was perhaps different from any other man. The 7-year itch didn't exist to him at all. The more he pampered Yun Jian, the more he loved her. Now, he couldn't wait to spend every moment with her. The next night, Si held Yun Jian's hand and followed Han Mingming to a bridge near Han Mingming's house. The male classmate that Han Mingming was talking about was Kim Mumu. If Kim Mumu didn't introduce himself to Yun Jian and Si the previous night, then today he introduced himself to Yun Jian and Si. Hello, my name is Kim Mumu. It's like this. My uncle, the man with the long beard you saw yesterday, is also going to the Mandarin Duck Valley. Moreover, my uncle is going to the Mandarin Duck Valley for filming, so he's going to the Mandarin Duck Valley. Coincidentally, I'm on translation since I'm on English. I want to go because I want to learn photography with my uncle. I know a tour group. Let's go tomorrow. I'll take you guys. Yun Jian translation of translation Jin's Mumu, Kim Mumu. It was Han Mingming who introduced Jin Mumu to Yun Jian and Si who was taken aback. He turned to look at Jin Mumu and asked, Jin Mumu, you're going to Lover's Valley too? Didn't you say you were going to introduce a tour group to my friend? Coincidentally, I'm going. It's not like you don't know that Mandarin Duck Valley is the most suitable place for filming. Haha, Ming, do you want to go together? Jin Mu scratched his head and replied. As he spoke, Kim Mumu's eyes seemed to be drifting. Yun Jian and Si naturally could not escape their eyes. However, neither Yun Jian nor Si said anything. I won't go and join in the fun. Han Mingming shook her head. As she spoke, she suddenly grabbed Jin Mumu and walked to a spot where she thought the two of them could not hear her, and told Jin Mumu, don't worry. Mumu, when we reach the Mandarin Duck Valley, you must remember to give my friend some personal space. Han Mingming was a very meticulous person. She did not follow them to Mandarin Duck Valley because she wanted to give Yun Jian and Si some space. Okay. I'll take note of that. Kim Mumu nodded in front of Han Mingming, but his eyes were moving left and right. It was obvious that he was up to something. Translator, King Bao Editor, Dark Gem. Chapter 2757. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation Jean Cheng's Evil Conspiracy. Yun Jian, CE, page 1/1. Early the next morning, the tour group gathered dozens of people and was ready to depart. Yun Jian and Si arrived early and boarded the bus under the guide's guidance like regular tourists. It was a huge bus with 24 seats. Including the driver, there were 25 people in the group. The tour group recommended by Jin Mumu was not bad. The tour guide would not force the tourists to buy tourist items. Some tour guides would force the tourists to buy expensive jade, diamonds, and so on for the sake of earning money. They would cost at least tens of thousands of yuan. If the tourists refused to buy, the tour guide would be mocking them at best, preventing them from leaving or threatening them. Traveling in a tour group required caution. Mandarin Duck Valley was situated more than 1,000 meters above sea level. It took more than an hour for the bus to go up the mountain. Once they were on the mountain, the tour guide led the bus full of people to tour the tourist attractions. The attractions in the morning and afternoon were not particularly eye-catching. Mandarin Duck Valley's main attraction was the hot spring of the Mandarin Ducks Swimming Pavilion. Therefore, the tour guide brought everyone to the hot spring at night. The group was given a night to soak in the hot spring before heading straight to the hotel provided by the hot spring restaurant. This was the plan. When they arrived at the hot spring, Jin Mumu and his uncle, Jin Chung, disappeared. No one knew where they had gone, but Yun Jian, who knew what Han Mingming had told Jin Mumu, previously thought that he had avoided them and wanted her to be alone with Ce. It was a pity that the outdoor hot spring here was only for men and women. There was no private hot spring, so Yun Jian and Ce could not bathe together. Xiao Jian, I'll wait for you in the room. Standing at the intersection of the hot springs, Ce brushed Yun Jian's hair behind her ear. Standing at the spot where the hot springs were crowded with tourists, he suddenly lowered his head and bit Yun Jian's ear. The numbing words sent a shiver down Yun Jian's spine. She pushed Ce's firm chest and answered softly, "Amen." With that, she turned and entered the hot spring. Inside the hot spring, there were several large open-air hot springs and places for showers. It could be said that the equipment was quite abundant. Usually, when one entered a hot spring, one had to strip naked. At least, most of the women in the ladies' hot springs would walk around naked. Yun Jian wrapped herself in a bathrobe and walked into the innermost hot spring. Lifting his bathrobe, he stepped into the hot spring and soaked his body in the warm spring water. Although there were a few women around the hot spring, strangely, there weren't many of them. The woman who was soaking in the same hot spring as Yun Jian was with her child. The woman raised her hand and suddenly tied her hair. However, her child accidentally missed a step. The child was small to begin with, and with this slip, his entire body slipped into the hot spring. With her eyes closed, Yun Jian scooped something into the hot spring without even looking. The woman's child was pulled out of the water in time. Seeing that, the woman's face changed in fear. She hurriedly walked over to hug her daughter and thanked Yun Jian. "Thank you so much." "Thank you." "You're welcome," Yun Jian replied softly. She didn't open her eyes from the beginning to the end. The woman thanked Yun Jian again. Just as she finished thanking her, the woman lowered her head and pursed her lips. She thought about it and finally glanced at Yun Jian as if she had something on her mind. In the end, the woman couldn't help but whisper into Yun Jian's ear, "Miss, why don't you leave now? Don't come here to soak in the hot spring again." Or, at this moment, a male voice suddenly sounded, "Leave? Since you're in the hot spring, then don't leave. Isn't it good to be my mannequin here?" As soon as she finished speaking, Jin Chung led a group of men and swaggered into New Tang hot spring from outside. Behind Jin Chung was Jin Mumu, who had done something wrong. At this moment, Jin Chung looked at Yun Jian with a determined expression. He thought that Yun Jian must be naked in the hot spring like all the other women in the hot spring. Thinking of this, he suddenly laughed. "Huh, you're Yun Jian, right? I've had my eyes on you since a long time ago. That figure, that appearance, tisk tsk. It's such a pity if you don't contribute to Z country's body art industry. Now, I'll give you a chance. Be my mannequin here. Believe me, I'll help you strip naked and take beautiful photos. I'll show your most perfect female side to everyone." Book Guest House Reading Website. Chapter 2758. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation Yun Jian Ce. Page 1/1. Yun Jian's words were similar to Jin Cheng's arrogant words when he threw his postcard at Yun Jian. As soon as he said that, Jin Cheng's face instantly darkened to a frightening degree. El Uncle, the chairman of New Cruise, the boss of Falcon Hall, and the boss of Kosha Mercenaries. He seems quite young. Jin Mumu, who was standing behind Jin Chung, panicked and scared when he heard Yun Jian's words. Jin Mumu looked at Yun Jian fearfully as he backed away from the hot spring. "What are you panicking for? Didn't you hear the teachers say that you should be rational when you're kidnapped? She's no different from a smart student who's shouting, 'The police are here,' to her kidnapper. Women in this society are smart. It's not the first time I've met a difficult woman. You think you can scare me with such little tricks? You want me to let her go? I haven't been in the photography industry for more than 10 years for nothing." Jin Chung was naturally much more experienced than Jin Mumu. He stretched out his hand, and without turning his head or turning around, he grabbed Jean Mumu's hand and said in an old-fashioned manner, "Old chum, how many women don't love money these days? Go and find her, man. Give them some money and let them shoot for us. Isn't that the best of both worlds? We don't lack money." A photographer who stood behind Jean Chung raised the HD camera in his hand. He was eager to take a nude shot of Yunjian when he saw her, because he was in pursuit of artistic vibe. Jean Chung turned his head and gave the photographer a sidelong glance. The photographer immediately shut up. As a graduate of Yale University of Photography and a top photographer in the country, Jean Chung had some prestige. "Name your price. Let's not talk nonsense. Be it New Cruise, Falcon Hall, or Gusha mercenaries, the bunch of disobedient women I've met before, they've resorted to all sorts of tricks. There's a woman who said she's the president's daughter. Do I believe her? Can I believe that? Wasn't this nonsense? 1 million. Just one take tonight with your man. Don't be so shameless. One take, and you get 1 million. It's not like I'm going to F***CKU. Jean Chung said to Yunjian. At this point, he took out a bank card from his suit pocket and threw it to Yunjian. "There's only 50,000 in the card now. After you and your man cooperate with me to take photos tonight, I'll transfer the remaining 950,000 into this card." As he spoke, Jean Chung touched his head with a noble look on his face. Those who didn't know him would think that he was a domineering CEO. Just as Jean Chung finished speaking, Yunjian raised her eyes and glanced at him from the corner of her eyes. Her red lips curled up slightly as she spoke. 1 million, huh? Yes, that's right. As long as you and your man are together, the money is yours. Jean Chung thought that Yunjian was going to agree, so he quickly said, "There's no need for 1 million. After Jean Chung finished speaking, Yunjian's words shocked everyone present even more. "No need for 1 million, then 50,000 is enough." Yunjian stepped on the bank card that Jean Chung had just given her. With a stomp of her foot, the bank card bounced up and was firmly grasped in her hand. Hearing this, Jean Cheng's eyes lit up. 50,000 is enough? Haha, you should have done this long ago. After taking photos of you and your man's body art, we'll show it to the whole world. By then, you'll be famous. Giving you 50,000 is already very good. It's good that you understand." Jean Cheng narrowed his eyes and nodded with a smile. Just as he was about to ask Yunjian to take off her clothes, Yunjian suddenly strode forward and gave Jean Chung a fierce kick. At the same time, a butterfly knife appeared in her hand out of nowhere. The butterfly knife moved horizontally and directly cut through Jean Cheng's shirt and pants. In the next second, Jean Cheng's clothes from head to toe instantly disintegrated and split open like broken fabric. Everyone present had no time to react at all. By the time everyone reacted, Yunjian had already put away the butterfly knife. At the same time, Jean Chung was also kicked into a nearby hot spring by Yunjian's kick, splashing water all over his body. Suddenly, without waiting for Jean Chung to react, Yunjian held the 50,000 bank card that Jean Chung had thrown to her and threw it into the hot spring that Jean Chung had fallen into. The card happened to hit Jean Cheng's head in a sorry state. Instead, she looked down at Jean Chung coldly and said to Jean Chung, as promised, and the words that she said to Jean Chung had already spread throughout the venue. 50,000 yuan for your body art photo is already enough for you. Book Guest House Reading Website. Chapter 2759. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation, Yunjian CE, page 1/1. Jean Chung, who was kicked into the hot spring, heard Yunjian's words. Under the gaze of the female models and the dozen male photographers he had brought along, including his nephew, Jean Mumu, he struggled in the water for a while before standing up. The bank card that he had thrown at Yunjian was smashed on his head by Yunjian. Humiliation. This was a humiliation to him as a man, to a top international photographer. "Oh, you woman, you actually dare to treat me like this?" Jean Chung stood up from the hot spring, his entire body drenched. He used the hot spring water as he slapped the water fiercely, his face filled with anger as he shouted. On that artistic face, There was a frightening, ferocious expression. "Everyone go! 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 There are so many of us. Can't we even hold down a woman? Everyone go!" Jean Chung stood in the hot spring and took pictures of the water, shouting at the male photographers and the female mannequins around them who were looking at Yunjian. This group of people were undoubtedly Jean Cheng's men. After Jean Cheng's desperate shout, the surrounding people stopped in their tracks. However, this group of male photographers all surrounded Yunjian, trapping Yunjian in a circle. The sound insulation of this hot spring restaurant was very good, and because it was a natural hot spring, the female hot spring and the male hot spring were very far apart. This meant that the male hot spring, where C.E. was at, and the female hot spring, where Yunjian was, were separated by hundreds of meters. Furthermore, Jean Chung had already bribed the restaurant. So if Yunjian was an ordinary woman, it would be useless even if she screamed herself hoarse. "Master Jean, that's enough. I think it's enough. She's still a young lady in her early 20s. Don't force her anymore. It's not right. Moreover, our country has its own laws. This kind of coercion is illegal." Seeing that the male photographers had listened to Jean Cheng's words and surrounded Yunjian, the kind-hearted woman whose young daughter accidentally fell into the hot spring and was caught by Yunjian couldn't help but speak out to Jean Cheng. This woman and her daughter were all Jean Cheng's body art models. "I'm contributing to Z country's art to the world. Illegal? Illegal? Can the police arrest me? Is there any justice in this world?" Hearing the woman's words, Jean Cheng's temper suddenly flared up as he shouted at the woman. He didn't feel that he was in the wrong at all. He even thought that the law should be on his side for what he had done. Jean Cheng had already gone mad. He even thought that using art as the premise of kidnapping her to force Yunjian, Er's words, was above morality and the law. There was simply no way to save him. The dozen male photographers were about to pounce on Yunjian at Jean Cheng's words when they heard him. However, at this moment, Yunjian suddenly stepped on the ground, somersaulted in the air, and leaped over the head of one of the male photographers, almost 2 meters high. In the next second, she steadied herself and was already outside the circle of male photographers. And her position was exactly where Jean Cheng was about to raise his leg to get out of the hot spring. Stretching out her leg, she stepped on the head of Jean Cheng, who was about to climb out of the hot spring. Yunjian stepped on his head and directly pressed Jean Cheng's head, together with his body, into the hot spring water. Woo-woo! With Yunjian stepping on his head and his head pressed into the water, Jean Cheng immediately felt suffocated. He struggled desperately, but couldn't get away. Bubbles were emitted from Jean Cheng's nose that was buried in the water, and the water rippled. Just as Jean Cheng was about to suffocate, Yunjian retracted her leg. However, she kicked Jean Cheng's body that had just regained his breath and stood up, kicking Jean Cheng directly to the shore. Then, under the horrified gaze of the group of photographers and women, she curved her red lips and smiled faintly at the group of male photographers. "Take his body art photos. I'll reward whoever takes the best photos with $5 million. Book Guest House Reading Website. Chapter 2763. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation Sister Jin ran away after fooling them. Yin Jin City, page 1/1. When she saw Qingyu, snake, lizard, and Dian Yi, Yun Jian was a loss for words. "You guys broke the firewall I set up?" Yun Jian asked Qingyu and the others with a frown in front of Jin Mumu, who was standing, Jean Cheng, who was lying on the ground, a group of female models, and a group of male photographers. "How's that possible?" "Sister Jian, I've been hacking the firewall you set up for 2 whole months, and I don't have a clue. If it weren't for the address on the group photo envelope you sent us 2 days ago, we wouldn't even know where you went." Dai Ani looked at Yun Jian like she had been dealt a huge blow, wailing like a ghost. As the leader of the Kosha mercenaries intelligence team, she did not even have a clue on how to hack Yun Jian's firewall. It was so embarrassing if word got out. As the leader of the Kosha mercenaries intelligence team, Dai Ani's hacking skills were the best in Gu Sha. She even had a foothold in the international scene. "Amen," Yun Jian answered softly and walked out. "Humph! How dare you trick my sister Jian? Do you know who she is? Unfortunately, I have to inform you that everyone in the organization that went against Gu Sham mercenaries the last time has been executed in half at the waist. I don't want to die. Qing Yu's hands were in her pockets, her fingers flicking the poison in the containers in her pockets. The containers contained the world's most toxic poison that Qing Yu had developed exclusively. You're really the boss of the Kosha mercenaries. Jin Sheng, who was paralyzed on the floor, had his eyes bulging. Shuddering, he crawled up from the floor and picked up his torn clothes as he crawled toward the door in fear. He tried to leave. Why are you leaving? Sister Jian hasn't said anything yet. Qingyu took 2 steps forward and stepped on Jin Sheng's head when she saw him running away. Sister Jian, what should we do with these people? Qingyu stepped on Jin Sheng's head. No matter how the ladder rolled, he was trampled to death. I'll give you a test product of the poison that was recently developed, Yun Jian said coldly without even looking at Jin Sheng, who was being stepped on by Qingyu. After saying this, she walked out of the door of New Tang Hot Spring as usual. Then I won't hold back. Qingyu rolled up her sleeves and glanced at Jin Sheng and the rest like she was looking at dead men. She then spoke to Dai Annie, Snake, Lizard, and the rest. Sister Diani, Sister Snake, come over and do me a favor. Hold them down for me. Qingyu used this group of people as live test subjects. After tormenting them to the point that they were about to die, she clapped her hands and dragged Dai Annie and Snake. Lizard outside. Come, let's gather with an Hun group and bring Sister Jian and the rest back. Qingyu clapped and was the first to walk out of the hot spring humming a tune. Diani, Snake, Lizard, and the others followed suit. Just as they stepped out of New Tang Hot Spring, they saw the 4 leaders of an Hun group walking toward them. Imo's son took the lead with Lin Wei at the back. Where's the young madam? This was the first thing Imo's son asked when he met Qing Yu and the others. Sister Jian's out. She's waiting for us outside, Qing Yu replied. The 4 leaders of an Hun group, as well as Dai Annie and Snake, Lizard, were taken aback. Qing Yu did not react in time. She heard the shrewd Snake, Lizard behind her exclaim, "Oh no! Sister Jian ran away when we weren't paying attention." Translator, Henyi Translations Editor, Henyi Translations. Chapter 2764. Qingyu did not react to Snake, Lizard's words at first. It was only when Adam reminded her that she snapped back to reality. Young master ran away when we weren't paying attention. Is it too late for us to chase after her now? Sister Jian and brother Yi are so in sync. This was Qing Yu's first thought when she snapped back to reality. You won't be able to catch her. Based on my understanding of Sister Jian, if she runs away, no one in this world other than you, Boss and Hun, can catch up to her. Dai Annie scratched her scalp with a hand over her head, looking dead. Imo's son, who had left quietly, had returned to the group. He took out a piece of white paper and passed it to them. The words on this paper are left for us by young madam. Once they heard that it was left by Yun Jian, their hearts clenched as they craned their necks to look. There was only one sentence written on the paper. Go back, kids. I'll leave the organization to you. Imo's son Adam, Shuiying, Lin Wei, Qing Yu, Snake, Lizard, and Dai Annie were speechless. On the other hand, Yun Jian and C.E. did not need to make an appointment. Not only did they escape tacitly after being found by their respective subordinates, they even met up at the same place simultaneously. It was a tacit agreement that needed no words. It was because this place was the best escape spot for the hot spring restaurant. Xiao Jian, are you ready? C.E. asked faintly as he strode to Yun Jian and held Yun Jian's hand. I'll follow you in life and death. I'll never leave you. She held C.E.'s large palm and spoke resolutely as she looked at C.E.'s mesmerizing face. The curve of C.E.'s lips was raised to its highest point as he held Yun Jian's hand, and both of them disappeared into the moonlit night in no time. There was a long-running legend in Mandarin Duck Valley. It was said that there was once a couple. The woman's father was a high-ranking official in the capital, while the man was a poor scholar. The two of them were bitterly in love, but they couldn't end it. They eloped hand in hand, arriving at the family in a ravine. However, after a long time, The woman's father sent people to chase them to the canyon. In order to save his lover, the woman and the man were forced to the peak of the canyon. The woman blocked a sword for the man. When the man saw that his lover had died, he committed suicide on the spot. 3 years later, 2 towering trees grew out of the barren canyon peak. Every time the trees bloomed, the branches and leaves of the 2 towering trees would intertwine together, cherishing each other. Some said that it was the crystallization of love between a man and a woman. From then on, the canyon was named Mandarin Duck Valley. Every time a couple successfully eloped in the Mandarin Duck Valley, they would never be separated. This was the origin of the Mandarin Duck Valley. At this moment, Yun Jian and Ce, who had successfully eloped, were staying at a place not far from Mandarin Duck Valley. Be it the leader of an Hun group or the kosher mercenaries, none of them would have guessed that Yun Jian and Ce were staying nearby, where they could be easily found. Yun Jian had just finished showering and was lying on the bed with her arms pillowed on the bed. Her front was facing the bed while her legs were crossed behind her. She was only wearing her underwear. She was reading the newspaper. Suddenly, Ce, who came out of the bathroom, got onto the bed and hugged Yun Jian from the back. The magazine in Yun Jian's hand fell to the ground. Ce flipped her over and bit her earlobe. "It tickles, don't bite." This was her sensitive spot. Yun Jian shrunk back. "What did you call me?" Ce bit her earlobe, the curve of his handsome face widening. She blushed and turned her head away. Suddenly, Ce kissed her. When she was about to suffocate, he put her down and said in a magnetic tone, "Be good, Xiao Jian. Call me." Yun Jian stared at him with her big eyes. She opened her mouth, but no sound came out. He kissed her again and only let go after a while. "You're not going to call me? I'll do it until you do." He was about to make a move when he said that. Yun Jian hugged him back quickly and rested her head on his shoulder, moaning softly, "Han. M." Chapter 2765. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation CE. Gu Xian's Girlfriend, Gu Xian's Entrance. Page 1/1. When the coquettish voice came from Yun Jian, Ce felt like a string in his heart had been plucked. He licked Yun Jian's earlobe lovingly, causing her to shudder and tingle. Ce placed his palm on the side of Yun Jian's neck, his long fingers caressing her cheeks and moving her face to face him. "Xiao Jian." Ce lowered his magnetic voice, his flawless skin and handsome face inching closer to Yun Jian. "I'm a little tired. Let's sleep early." Yun Jian pressed Ce's body that was pressing down on her and rolled to the side, pulling the blanket over her to pretend to be asleep. During their honeymoon of about 2 months, he had not been able to sleep properly at night. He had to drag her to do shameful things every day, multiple times a day. If she were a normal person, she would have been drained dry. Even so, after these 2 months, her waist could not hold on any longer. But he seemed to be completely fine. Seeing Yun Jian turn around and close her eyes to pretend to sleep, Ce wore a mesmerizing smile looking at her slender figure. She was his from head to toe. The thought drove Ce crazy. Yun Jian kept her eyes shut and breathed softly, afraid that Ce would see through her feigned sleep. Just when Yun Jian thought that Ce would let her go tonight, he extended his arm and wrapped it around her waist, pulling her under him again. Yun Jian was shocked. She felt a chill on her body. Her bathrobe had been removed by someone without hesitation. "Xiao Jian, you sleep. I'll do what I have to do." His devilish voice rang above her head. The stars twinkled in the sky, and the night was still very long. In a certain hotel with excellent soundproofing effect, bursts of sounds rose and fell, one after another. Another 2 months passed. Gu Yunjian's house. Qin Yiru was so busy today that she couldn't even put down her work. She was cooking. He made a table full of delicious food. Today, Gu Yunjian's son, Gu Xian, was coming back for dinner with his girlfriend and her parents. This was the first time the elders of the 2 sides had met, and they were talking about marriage. Although Gu Xian was not Qin Yiru's biological son and was the child of Gu Junjian and his ex-wife, Qin Yiru had already regarded Gu Xian as her own biological son. Therefore, Qin Yiru paid special attention to the fact that Gu Xian brought his girlfriend and her parents home today. Initially, Qin Yiru could not handle it alone, but she had Qin Yu's help. When dinner was almost done, the door opened and Gu Xian came in with a woman in her early 20s with light makeup. "You're here? The food is just ready. Take a seat quickly. It won't taste good when it gets cold." Qin Yiru wiped her apron and came over with a smile. "Mom, this is my girlfriend, Jing Liaoyan." Gu Xian introduced his girlfriend to Qin Yiru first. "Yin Yin, Xian has been talking about. Come, don't be shy. Treat this as your home. Come in." Qin Yiru greeted Jing Liaoyan with a smile. "Hello, Aunt." Jing Liaoyan greeted Qin Yiru politely. "Hey, Yin Yin, where are your parents? Why aren't they here yet?" Qin Yiru asked as she poked her head out. "They're parking the car outside. They'll be here soon." Jing Liaoyan smiled sweetly, but she held on to Gu Xian's hand as if she was afraid that Gu Xian's parents would not like her. She was a well-mannered and well-educated young lady. Bookhouse reading website. Chapter 2766. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. Gu Xian. Page 1/1. Gu Xian's girlfriend, Jing Liaoyan, spoke to Qin Yiru. He held Qin Yu's hand as they walked down the stairs from the second floor. He nodded at Gu Xian and Jing Liaoyan before walking past them with Qin Yu. When they reached Gu Xian, he leaned over to Gu Xian's ear and whispered, "Bro, do your best." He then pulled Qin Yu out of the door and explained to Qin Yiru, "Mom, we're going out for dinner. It's a date, so we won't be eating at home." He had graduated from university and had set up a mobile marketing store with Yin Jian's help. It was the most prosperous period of the business. "So don't worry." Qin Yiru did not stop her, merely reminding her softly. Not long after he left, Jing Liaoyan's parents arrived as well. Father Jing was a businessman, and his business was huge, almost becoming one of the top 10 international corporations in the world. Mother Jing was originally an ordinary woman who only got to where she was today because of her husband. Gu Junjian returned home at the same time as well. When both parties met, they were polite at first. There were not many people in the world who would not be polite at the first meeting. However, people could be very realistic when it came to certain issues. Halfway through the meal, Mother Jing asked Qin Yiru since they were here to discuss the marriage between Gu Xian and Jing Liaoyan. "Since our Yin Yin is interested in your son, there are some things that I'd like to clarify. If Yin Yin were to marry him, how much would the betrothal gift be?" Since the topic had reached this point, Mother Jing didn't feel embarrassed. She continued to speak. "As you all know, our Jing family is an internationally renowned conglomerate. Yin Yin is our only daughter and the future heir of the Jing group. We won't ask for too much. Of course, your family has to fork out at least 100 million for Yin Yin's wedding. Otherwise, I think we should wait a little longer." Mother Jing's words embarrassed Qin Yiru and Gu Junjian. Yin Jian and Si Yi were both rich, but that was their own money. Yin Jian and Si Yi were rich, but they couldn't give all the money to Qin Yiru and Gu Junjian. Qin Yiru and Gu Junjian only had tens of millions in savings. When Mother Jing said this, she didn't know that Gu Xian had a younger sister like Yin Jian, because Gu Xian never went out to show off. Otherwise, if Mother Jing knew about Yin Jian's identity, she would never say such things here. "Mom, what are you saying?" Jing Liaoyan heard Mother Jing's words, and her expression changed. "I'm talking about serious matters. Yin Yin, don't interfere in this matter. It's not something a child like you can interfere in." Mother Jing slapped away Jing Liaoyan's hand and turned to look at everyone. "Our Jing family is currently residing abroad and rarely returns to the country. Please don't blame me for being rude. I'm a person who can't say anything nice, so I'll apologize to all of you here. As parents, we naturally want our children to live well. If you can't fork out 100 million, then the difference in our family's financial situation is too big. Let's just forget about this marriage." When Mother Jing said this, Jing Liaoyan immediately stood up with an anxious look on her face. "Mom, that's not what you said before you came. Mom, how can you be like this? I don't care. I'm marrying Gu Xian anyway. Other than him, I won't marry anyone else in my life." I told you not to interfere in this matter, Yin Yin. I have my own plans. Mother Jing heard her daughter's words and was very unhappy. Qin Yuru and Gu Junjian also looked troubled. Gu Xian's brows were tightly knitted. Although Gu Xian had just graduated from university, he was obsessed with racing. He had already won many races and won many prizes. Adding all the money he had saved up, he had saved a few million. After all, he was a young man who had just entered society. It was already considered a miracle that he could save so much money with his own ability. However, this was not up to Mother Jing's standards. Just when the atmosphere in the room reached its lowest point, the door was suddenly pushed open. A young girl in plain clothes stepped through the door. The moment the young girl entered, she attracted everyone's attention. Just when Father Jing, Mother Jing, Jing Liaoyin, and everyone else's attention was on the girl, they only saw her smiling face. In front of Mother Jing and the others, she calmly said something that caused an uproar in the crowd. How can 100 million be enough for my brother's wedding? I'll pay 5 billion. This money will be transferred to my brother and my future sister-in-law's name. Book Guesthouse Reading Website. Chapter 2767. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation Gu Xian's Racing Team. Page 1/1. The words came out of Yun Jian's mouth effortlessly, but it shocked most of the people there. Especially Father Jing, who didn't talk much. Mother Jing, who obviously had a glib tongue and knew how to argue with others. And Gu Xian's girlfriend, Jing Liaoyin. They were all stunned on the spot. 5 billion. 5 billion, this. Mother Jing panicked when she heard this. Her face turned pale with fright as she pulled on her daughter, Jing Liaoyin's clothes, forcing her to sit back down. Although the head of the Jing family was Father Jing and the chairman of the Jing group was also Father Jing, Mother Jing played a big part in the success of the Jing group today. Mother Jing was obviously a glib talker. Aya, in-law, how can you? Mother Jing sat down and looked at Yun Jian before meeting Qin Yuru's eyes. She immediately changed her words. It took less than a minute for her to change from our Jing family to in-law to Qin Yuru. Oh right, in-law, this is... Seeing Yun Jian walk over, Mother Jing acted as if nothing happened. She held her daughter's hand and looked at Yun Jian with a smile. If it were any other woman, they would probably think that Yun Jian was spouting nonsense without even thinking about it. 5 billion. In this era, it was not something that could be obtained by daydreaming. Moreover, this came from a young girl in her early 20s. However, Mother Jing was different. She was a knowledgeable person, so she chose to believe her unless she was sure that she was lying. With Yun Jian's appearance, Mother Jing's attitude became much better. She even allowed Jing Liaoyin to stay in the Gu family for a few days, saying that she agreed to the marriage. In life, it was inevitable to meet people that you didn't like. Of course, it was impossible to kill every single one of them. Moreover, Jing Liaoyin was a very good girl. Of course, to Jing Liaoyin, Mother Jing was her sky. As long as Gu Xian truly liked Jing Liaoyin, it was enough. After Father and Mother Jing left, Gu Xian led Jing Liaoyin to Yun Jian's side. That's my sister, Yun Jian. Gu Xian proudly pointed at Yun Jian. So you are Yun Jian. My Ting Xian often mentions you. Jing Liaoyin grinned at Yun Jian. After laughing, she tugged at Gu Xian and suddenly bowed deeply to Yun Jian. My mother was rude just now. I apologized to her. If it weren't for you today, Xian, and I might have already, don't worry, Xian, and I won't take your money for nothing. At most, we'll just trick my mother. My mother is actually just worried that I'm not doing well. Don't mind it. Jing Liaoyin immediately explained it to Yun Jian. It's fine. Yun Jian nodded. Gu Xian then went to Yun Jian and put his arm on Yun Jian's shoulder with a chuckle. Sister, I've started a racing team in Longmen City. There's a racing competition tonight at the Longmen City racetrack. Do you want to cheer your brother on? He even winked at Jing Liaoyin as he said this. The reason he chose to meet their parents today was to bring his girlfriend, Jing Liaoyin, who had just returned from abroad, to take a look at his racing team. Gu Xian met Jing Liaoyin when he was studying abroad. After he graduated and returned to China, he focused on racing and even started a racing team. Hearing Gu Xian's request, Yunjin agreed at once. At night, the Longmen City racetrack was crowded with people. In 2005, smartphones had yet to become popular in this era. People's entertainment was still in these outdoor activities. Yunjin came with Gu Xian and Jing Liaoyan. Come, sister, let me introduce you to the members of Gu Xian's racing team. This is the vice captain of Gu Xian's racing team, Idiot Zhang. Gu Xian put his arm around a delicate-looking boy's shoulder with a smile and introduced him seriously. The delicate-looking boy slapped Gu Xian's hand away and glared at Gu Xian before nodding politely at Yunjian. I'm Zhang Qi. Idiot Zhang was obviously a nickname Gu Xian came up with on a whim. Translator, King Bao. Editor, Dark Gem. Chapter 2768, page 1/1. After Zhang Qi greeted Yunjian, the Gu Xian team greeted Yunjian and Jing Liaoyan as well. Gu Xian had just returned to the country, and the team had just started, so there were only 5 of them. After some introductions, Zhang Qi and the rest wanted Yunjian and Jing Liaoyan to watch their race from the spectator stand. Gu Xian spoke up, "Hey, don't underestimate my sister. Her racing skills are unsurpassable even internationally, let alone in Longmen City. Just let the 2 of them stay here." As Gu Xian spoke, Zhang Qi nudged Gu Xian with his elbow. "Xian, look, they're from the Dragon Gate racing team." The Dragon Gate racing team was the biggest racing team in Longmen City with a total of 50 racers. When Gu Xian was organizing the team's captain had wanted to invite Gu Xian to join the team, but Gu Xian had rejected the offer. The rejection had completely offended the Dragon Gate racing team. Therefore, every time the team saw Gu Xian and the team, they would come over to mock them. Today was no exception. The group came over in an imposing manner. I was wondering who it was. So, it's the cheater racing team that hasn't even received the national approval certificate. The team's captain, Qiao Zhengqi, came over with a group of people. Just as Qiao Zhengqi was about to say something sarcastic, a voice suddenly rang out. "Yunjian, it's you." The voice attracted Gu Xian, Qiao Zhengqi, and Qiao Zhengqi's younger sister, Qiao Zhengpei, who was standing beside Qiao Zhengqi. "It's me." Yunjian had already seen the owner of the voice and nodded at him. The person who spoke was none other than Hong Fan from Team Monarch. Hong Fan was the vice captain of Team Monarch back then. He had a sharp mind and was very knowledgeable about technological products, but he was a man of few words. Chu Xiangnan once called him Hong Dork, but he was the closest to Lu Shiyun back then. Team Monarch had completely disbanded a year ago. Everyone in Team Monarch knew that the moment their leader, Lu Shiyun, passed away, Team Monarch would never be the same again. The 6 surviving members of Team Monarch had gone their separate ways. But he did not expect to meet Hong Fan here. Looking at the situation, Hong Fan had already joined the Dragon Gate racing team. Once a comrade, now a stranger. Hong Fan's position in the Dragon Gate racing team was not high, but everyone in the team knew that Hong Fan was once a member of Team Monarch, so they respected him. Hong Fan didn't say it himself, but Qiao Zhengqi's sister, Qiao Zhengpei, found out. Qiao Zhengpei was interested in Hong Fan. "Do you know each other?" Qiao Zhengpei asked when she heard Hong Fan asking Yunjian. Hong Fan ignored Qiao Zhengpei. This made Qiao Zhengpei dislike Yunjian, who was originally on Gu Xian's side. "Fan, you were once a member of Team Monarch. Tell me, why did Team Monarch disband back then?" Qiao Zhengpei glanced at Yunjian, Gu Xian, Zhang Qi, and the rest before speaking to Hong Fan. She said this out of the blue because Team Monarch was too popular back then, so popular that they became the idol of the youths in Country Z. But for some reason, they were disbanded. The youths nowadays were desperate to know the reason. To Qiao Zhengpei, this was something she could boast about. In her brother's racing team, there was a member of Team Monarch, so naturally, he was involved in what happened back then. However, Hong Fan was never willing to talk about Team Monarch. Qiao Zhengpei said this just to show off in front of Yunjian and the rest. She glanced at Zhang Qi and the rest who heard her and widened their eyes in shock. Qiao Zhengpei turned to look at Yunjian smugly. After Qiao Zhengpei's words, everyone in the Dragon Gate racing team was smug. Just as everyone in Dragon Gate Racing Team was feeling smug, Hong Fan suddenly asked Yun Jian a shocking question that left everyone dumbstruck, unable to snap back to reality for a long time. Yun Jian, Chu Ning, and the rest are still waiting. So am I. I don't believe that Team Monarch is disbanded just like that, even if Captain is no longer around. Since we've met again today, I'd like to express our wishes to you. We all want to rebuild Team Monarch. I believe that if Captain is still around, he'll acknowledge us. So today, as a member of Team Monarch Dark Knight, I'm asking you one last time. Slashing God, are you willing to return to Team Monarch with us, to fulfill Captain's lifelong dream and create glory again? Book Guesthouse Reading Website. Chapter 2769, Page 1/1. Hong Fan joined the Dragon Gate Racing Team and became a member of the team. However, Hong Fan had to have a presence in the team. He was a computer prodigy with a super detailed brain circuit, but in terms of strength and outdoor activities, he was very average. To put it simply, Hong Fan was not a good racer. But now, all the members of the Dragon Gate Racing Team, including the captain Xiao Zhengqi and his sister Xiao Zhengpei, as well as Zhang Qi from Guxian's team, were all looking at Hong Fan, and then at Yun Jian. Fan, what's slashing God? You're saying she's slashing God? Team Monarch's former strongest slashing God. Xiao Zhengpei snapped out of her smug expression and turned her head mechanically, glaring at the girl who was so beautiful that she could not take her eyes off her. Yun Jian. Team Monarch's achievements back then made them the target of admiration and respect from many youths in Country Z. Even some of the candidates who applied for military school were determined to become an outstanding soldier who would bring glory to their country. It even led to an increase in the number of applicants for military school during the college entrance examination, which led to a huge increase in the college entrance examination scores. It could be said that Team Monarch back then had become the target of admiration and respect in Country Z. Later on, the team was disbanded without reason, which destroyed many people's hearts. Initially, his team had Hong Fan, a member of Team Monarch. To Xiao Zhengpei and the rest, it was something worth bragging about. But who knew that Yun Jian was Team Monarch's former strongest slashing god? That fact shocked everyone. Jing Liaoyan and Guxian had been studying abroad, so they did not know much about Team Monarch. At that moment, in front of everyone, Yun Jian looked at Hong Fan and did not speak for a long time. At that moment, the members of the Dragon Gate Racing Team who knew about Yun Jian's identity were all shocked, but they all held their breaths and looked at Yun Jian without exception. They wanted to know Yun Jian's answer. This would be something that would shake the entire country. Just as everyone fell silent, Yun Jian's red lips moved slightly, and she opened her mouth to speak. Please think about it. Don't reject us so quickly. We've been waiting for you to come back. Just a second before Yun Jian was about to speak, a magnetic male voice that was both familiar and unfamiliar rang. Then, 2 men and 2 women walked out from the side. The one who spoke was none other than the boy walking at the front, Chu Xiangnan. After not seeing him for a long time, Chu Xiangnan's voice had become much rougher than before. The 3 people beside Chu Xiangnan were Chu Ning, Jiang Weiwei, and Fang Xiaoran. Apart from the leader, Lu Shiyun, every member of Team Monarch was present. Chu Ning's eyes reddened at the thought of Lu Shiyun. Wang, are you all from Team Monarch? Xiao Zhengpei, Xiao Zhengqi, and the other members of the Dragon Gate Racing Team widened their eyes to an indescribable extent. However, at that moment, no one would pay attention to Xiao Zhengpei, Xiao Zhengqi, and the rest. Chu Ning, who had always been cheerful, looked at Yun Jian and spoke solemnly to Yun Jian. Slashing God, we promise that we won't be a burden to you anymore. Just as she said that, Chu Ning and the rest were already in front of Yun Jian. All this time, we've never stopped training ourselves. Our leader may have left, but he's still alive in our hearts. We don't want to give up on Team Monarch because we can only feel our leader's real presence when we're together. The 7 of us got to know each other because of Team Monarch. I don't want to be a part of history. So, Team Monarch's member, Tao Wu, strongly recommends Team Monarch's member, slashing God, to return to Team Monarch and replace the former leader, Nirvana, as the new leader of Team Monarch. We hope for your permission. Book Guest House Reading Website. Chapter 2770. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation, page 1/1. Yunjian? Chuning panicked when she saw Yunjian's red lips moving and was about to say something. She called out to Yunjian, the name that she used to call her when they were the most intimate. Ever since Lu Shiyun passed away and Team Monarch was disbanded, the other 6 members of Team Monarch had not seen each other for a long time. Even when they met, they were like strangers. Chuning had been startled awake from her sleep several times in the middle of the night. Those standing before her were her former comrades and her former nemesis. From the moment they appeared one by one, Yunjian already had an answer in her heart. She slowly raised her head and spoke to Chuning and the rest under the expectant gazes of Chuning, Chu Xiangnan and the rest, as well as the surrounding crowd who were watching the show. Since you've chosen me, Yunjian, to be your new captain, it means that you won't have the leisure time that you used to have. I, Yunjian, will not allow anyone in my team to drag us down. If you can do that, you can rejoin Team Monarch. What she meant was, Yunjian agreed. Chuning, Chu Xiangnan, Jiang Weiwei, and the rest had already given up hope. However, when they heard Yunjian's words, they raised their heads abruptly. Chu Xiangnan even widened his eyes and rushed to Yunjian in front of the crowd. Oh, really? Yunjian, is what you said true? Yunjian took a small step back symbolically, her eyes calm. You can choose not to believe me and not join my team. No. How can I not believe you, Chu Xiangnan's voice suddenly choked up. The 1.8-meter-tall man suddenly wiped away his tears in front of the crowd and said, Captain will be happy for us. This voice came from Chu Xiangnan's mouth. Based on the sound of his voice, if he wasn't careful, even an indomitable man like him would cry out loud. Everyone in Team Monarch was silent. It was as if he was reminiscing about his captain, Lu Shiyun. The 7 of them didn't spend a long time together, but it wasn't short either. The 7 of them fought together, worked hard together, grew together, and even went to eat skewers together. But now, there was one less indispensable person. Everyone in Team Monarch knew that even if Team Monarch was reassembled, they would never be the same again. With the departure of Captain Lu Shiyun, many things in the past could never be redone. While everyone was silent, Yunjian suddenly took out 6 medals from her pocket. It was the emblem that the 7 members of Team Monarch wore when they were still in the team. He handed the 6 medals to Chuning and the other 4 and kept one for himself. Only Lu Shiyun was left out. The moment they caught the medals, Chuning and the other 4 lowered their heads and gripped the medals tightly. They looked at the medal that had been with them for years, but was taken back by the military when Team Monarch was disbanded. Perhaps Yunjian already had plans to return to Team Monarch, but she never mentioned it before. The 7 of them used to be together, but now we've lost one of them forever. Chuning and the other 4 dared not ask where Lu Shiyun's medal went. Just as they were silent, and the audience was silent as well, Yunjian suddenly took out Lu Shiyun's medal from her pocket and placed it in front of everyone. After 2 seconds of silence, she said the hot-blooded words that brought tears to Team Monarch's eyes. This medal belongs to the captain. I won't replace it. Lu Shiyun is the only captain in Team Monarch, and he will always be. I'm just a substitute to be your captain now. Translator, Henyi Translations Editor, Henyi Translations. Chapter 2771. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation, page 1/1. Yunjian was never one to be outdone, but she was willing to say that she was a substitute captain and that she would be like this for the rest of her life because of Lu Shiyun. Perhaps Lu Shiyun was the only person in this world who could make Yunjian say that. Lu Shiyun's life was short and dull, but there were so many people who supported him in this world. Whether he had passed away or not, this belief would never change. The members of Team Monarch wiped away the tears at the corners of their eyes that outsiders did not understand and went to Yun Jian with a smile that rekindled hope in life. Team Monarch, after going through the storm, is back. Captain, we'll carry the medal that symbolizes you and continue to pursue the heights that you've yet to reach. We hope that you and your loved ones can travel to the ends of the world together, riding the wind and riding the wind, moving forward bravely regardless of the storm. Don't worry about us. Don't miss us. Thank you for being with us, for leading us who knew nothing in the beginning to grow into us who can take charge today. Go pursue the life you want. We'll protect everything here. But no matter where you fly, please don't forget that you're the only captain of Team Monarch. Team Monarch will always be proud of you. In front of Lu Shiyun's grave, Chu Xiangnan put away the envelope and stood before the grave to read the contents softly before setting it on fire with a lighter and burning it to ashes. The ashes spiraled into the sky as if to chase after their captain, Lu Shiyun, who had left first, attempting to catch up with his footsteps and deliver the letter. It was an envelope without a reply, but everyone in Team Monarch firmly believed that the envelope would reach Lu Shiyun one day. After going to Lu Shiyun's grave with Team Monarch, Yun Jian went home early. When the Dragon Gate team found out that Guxian was slaying God's elder brother, Guxian was led by their captain, Xiao Zhengqi, to apologize to Guxian. What the Dragon Gate team did not know was that Guxian's team would leave Longmen City, Zhe Province, and Country Z in the future to become a world-renowned racing team. Of course, this was a story for another time. Ever since she returned from her 4-month honeymoon with C.E. and C.E. was dragged back to Enhun by the 4 leaders. Yun Jian would call C.E. every night. Compared to Enhun, Yun Jian and her kosher mercenaries were much less involved. She sat on the bed and video chatted with C.E. for 2 hours before the doorbell rang. Yun Jian hung up the video call with C.E. and went to open the door. When the door opened, Yiling came into view. Yiling was the girl that Yun Jian met when she went to the hunting school. She was now Lin Wei's woman. Before Yun Jian could say anything, Yiling looked up at Yun Jian and told Yun Jian with a sobbing face, "I don't have a place to go. I don't dare to go home. I'm scared that he'll look for me in my house. You're the only place I can think of and the only person I know. Can you let me stay for a few days? I'll leave once I find a place." He was, of course, referring to Lin Wei. Sure. Since C.E. was not around, Yun Jian agreed. Hearing this, Yiling finally put on a smile that was uglier than crying and followed Yun Jian into the house. After drinking a cup of piping hot water and holding it, Yiling finally revealed the reason why she did not want to be found by Lin Wei. "I went to the gynecology department for a checkup 2 days ago. The doctor said that I exercised too much when I was in the hunting school. There's only a 1% chance of me having a child in the future. I know that he doesn't love me, and he won't love me in the future. He can give me a perfect wedding and a future, but he won't give me love. As long as I stay by his side, he'll only have me. It's enough as long as I love him. But I can't have a child. Even the doctor said that this 1% chance is the same as being infertile. You know that he doesn't love me, but he wants a child. I can't have one, and I'm afraid that he'll despise me. So I plan to leave him first. As long as he finds another woman who can give birth to his child, he'll probably forget about me." Translator, King Bao. Editor, King Bao. Chapter 2772. Yiling's thoughts were more meticulous, and Lin Wei was someone who often talked about the topic of having children. Yun Jian's love history was only with C.E. She did not want to and would not flirt with any other man. Hence, Yun Jian could not read Lin Wei's mind like a relationship expert. Yiling lowered her head and remained silent after saying that. Yun Jian said something that was not comforting at all. "You can stay at my house for a few more days." Thank you, Yun Jian. Yiling's hurt heart finally warmed up. See, he had left in Hun Group for 4 months. Naturally, there was a lot of work waiting for him. He would not be back anytime soon. Hence, Yiling stayed at Yun Jian's house for a few days without disturbing Yun Jian and Ci's life. Ci was not at home. During the weekend, Yun Jian stayed at home. Zhang Xiaofeng, Chun Sini, and Ling Yichen came to look for Yun Jian. They said that a middle school classmate was holding a class reunion and wanted everyone to attend. Not only could they attend, but they could also invite their friends and family. Since the location of the reunion was a barbecue in the wilderness, the more people there were, the merrier it would be. After Yunjian was reborn in Xinjiang town, she transferred to Longmen Yizhong's Year 3 class and not long after. It could be said that she did not spend much time with this group of classmates. It was less than a year. Other than Zhang Xiaofeng, Chun Sini, and Ling Yichen, she only remembered a few classmates who were against each other. The other classmates who did not talk much did not know each other. Yin Jian did not want to attend at first. However, after Chun Sini held her hand and acted coquettishly for a while, Yin Jian agreed. She even brought Yi Ling along. There were a lot of people at the reunion, but there were only about 20 of them who were Yin Jian's former classmates. The rest of the people who came were the relatives and friends of these former classmates. Most of the students who came were different from the students who had been obedient in school. Whether it was the way they dressed or the way they dressed, they were very different from when they were in their teens. The location of the picnic this time was a small mountain called the Back Mountain Pavilion. There was a place in the Back Mountain Pavilion that had beautiful scenery. It was right next to the shore of a lake. If one accidentally ignited a fire during the barbecue, they could immediately put it out. Therefore, the location of the picnic was chosen here. And now, everyone was standing at the foot of Back Pavilion Mountain. We're still missing one person. Student Zhang Meihan isn't here yet. Everyone, please wait a little longer. The organizer of this class reunion was Zhang Xiaorong, a male classmate from her former class who didn't like to talk much. After hearing Zhang Xiaorong's words, they thought of Zhang Meihan, and their former classmates began to talk about it. Do you guys know? I saw Zhang Meihan last year. Her weight of 150 pounds actually decreased to 100 pounds. She was tall to begin with, and her foundation wasn't bad either. She used to be fat, but now, she's really beautiful. Is that true? That fat girl actually succeeded in losing weight? 100 pounds? She's 2 pounds slimmer than me? Zhang Meihan, who the classmates were talking about, used to be a famous fat girl. Because of her inferiority complex, she usually walked with her head down and ignored everyone. Usually, at a class reunion, the former classmates would undergo earth-shattering changes. The changes would be so big that it would make you gasp in amazement. She's here! She's here! Just then, someone called out and looked in that direction. They saw a woman wearing a short skirt that exposed her thighs and a lady's shoulder t-shirt that showed off her figure. She was holding a mature man in a suit and leather shoes as they walked over. This woman's figure was curvy and not bad at all. She was the student Zhang Meihan that the classmates were talking about. This beauty was completely different from the 150 pounds of female fat girl in the past. Zhang Meihan walked over to the crowd with the man in her arms. She exuded a strong sense of confidence from inside out. When she arrived in front of Yin Jian and the others, she glanced at everyone and then spoke with a rather proud tone. Students, long time no see. In order to show my sincerity, all the barbecue equipment and barbecue used for today's class reunion will be reimbursed to my husband's account. It's my treat. M. Chapter 2773. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. Page 1/1. When Zhang Meihan said this, the faces of the surrounding students were a little ugly. After all, Zhang Meihan was looked down upon and bullied by many students because of her obesity. At that time, Zhang Meihan's family was poor. Now that it was a class reunion, she was tall and slender. Moreover, she said that she would treat them to a meal so easily. Moreover, there was a handsome and rich husband who looked to be in his 30s beside her. Many of the students were silent. Hey, Yin Jian, Chun Sini. Zhang Meihan looked around. She originally had her head held high and looked at everyone with disdain. However, when she saw Yin Jian and Chun Sini, she let go of her husband's hand and ran over. Can you give me a hug? Zhang Meihan looked at Yin Jian and Chun Sini and asked excitedly. Zhang Meihan's presence in class was very low in the past. Yin Jian did not remember her name. Although Zhang Meihan's appearance changed a lot, Yunjian could still follow her outline and find her figure in her memory. She had unconsciously helped Zhang Meihan with Chinsini. Once, during a Sunday shift, Zhang Meihan and a few other classmates were on duty to sweep the floor together. Those classmates said that Zhang Meihan didn't have a boyfriend anyway, so they gave all the work to Zhang Meihan to do. Zhang Meihan couldn't help but retort. Later, Chun Sini found Zhang Meihan sobbing and sweeping the floor in an empty classroom after school. She called Yunjian to help. After cleaning, Zhang Meihan did not thank Yunjian and Chun Sini. She lowered her head and ran back home alone. This was a matter that happened many years ago. Yunjian had long forgotten about it. She did not even know her name. To Yunjian, it might be a trivial matter that did not matter if it was mentioned or not, but to someone who was in despair back then, it was a ray of hope for survival bestowed by God. Let's not. Look, your husband is looking at us. Chun Sini shook her hand heartlessly. She rejected the hug. However, Zhang Meihan was not angry. She walked to Yunjian and Chun Sini's side and went up the mountain intimately. Yunjian did not feel uncomfortable with Zhang Meihan's friendliness. On the other hand, Chun Sini and Zhang Meihan quickly got along well. Even when Zhang Xiaofeng walked beside her, Chun Sini did not pay attention to him. Master, look at her. She has forgotten her old love after she has a new translation. Zhang Xiaofeng put on an angry face and Yunjian. Yunjian, do you still love? Is Yunjian. Zhang Xiaofeng had a helpless expression on his face. Yi Ling, who was walking beside them, did not say anything, especially when she heard Zhang Xiaofeng and Chun Sini being lovey-dovey. Her expression was very gloomy. Yunjian, I want to walk here alone, Yi Ling suddenly said to Yunjian. Okay. Yunjian acquiesced. Yi Ling followed another deserted path and walked further and further away. She came to the other side of the lake and stood by the shore. Looking at her reflection on the water, she felt a chill in her heart. It had been so many days. He should have found a woman who could bear his child by now, right? But as soon as she thought of the possibility that he was with another woman, her heart throbbed with pain. After standing by the lake for a long time, Yi Ling wiped away her tears. Just as she turned around, she suddenly bumped into a strong chest. When Yi Ling raised her head and saw the person who had come, her expression suddenly changed. The person who stood behind her without saying a word was Lin Wei, whom she thought had gone to find another woman to bear his child with. Bookhouse Reading Website. Chapter 2774. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation Yunjian used to be number 1. Lin Wei. Yi Ling. Page 1/1. Lin Wei's sudden appearance gave Yi Ling a fright. She took a step back and almost fell into the lake. Be careful. Fortunately, Lin Wei's hands were quick. He grabbed Yi Ling's slender waist and pulled her into his embrace. Only then did Yi Ling not fall into the lake. Yi Ling's heart was pounding in Lin Wei's arms. It was as if there was a voice in her heart screaming that she didn't want to push him away. She wanted to be with him for the rest of her life. She wanted to stay like this for the rest of her life and never let go of his hand again. But she couldn't. Yi Ling put her hands on Lin Wei's chest and struggled for a while. Lin Wei didn't hug her with all his strength. After Yi Ling escaped from Lin Wei's embrace, she glanced at Lin Wei and ran toward the mountain where Yunjian and the others had gone first. After running for a few hundred meters, Lin Wei didn't catch up with her. Yi Ling was a little disappointed. She quickly continued to run toward the place where Yunjian and the others had disappeared. What Yi Ling didn't see was that after she looked behind her and didn't see Lin Wei, she ran toward the mountain where Yunjian and the others had gone. Not long after, Lin Wei followed her from the bottom of the mountain. He hadn't said a word since he appeared. Yi Ling couldn't tell whether he was happy or worried from the corners of his eyes. But when he saw Yi Ling running up the mountain, he followed her silently. Yunjian and the others had arrived at a suitable place for a barbecue in the pavilion at the back of the mountain. There were more rocks here and fewer trees. The rocks were closer to the lake, so it was the most suitable place for a barbecue. The boys had already arranged the barbecue grills and barbecue utensils neatly. The girls, on the other hand, were sitting in their own territories, comparing their recent developments. People like Zhang Meihan could be considered to be one of the few who were doing well. Therefore, Zhang Meihan was very confident when she first appeared. Some girls who were jealous of Zhang Meihan simply stopped talking, while those girls who wanted to get close to Zhang Meihan all gathered around Zhang Meihan. Yun Jian was sitting beside Chun Sini when she saw Yi Ling running towards her in a hurry. Yun Jian, he's here, Yi Ling said to Yun Jian anxiously. Looking at Yi Ling's expression, it was obvious that she did not expect Lin Wei to come here to look for her. She thought that Lin Wei would find another woman after knowing that she couldn't give birth to a child. He had said that he could give her anything except love. What she wanted to do was very simple, and that was to give birth to his child. However, she could no longer conceive. Now that Lin Wei had come looking for her, all of this was beyond Yi Ling's expectations. Follow me. Yun Jian didn't say anything else. She just said indifferently. These words made Yi Ling nod fiercely. Yun Jian, we remember that you gave up the best high school in our city to go to a military school outside the city. How are you doing now? Just as Yun Jian whispered to Yi Ling, a girl in a floral dress asked Yun Jian. After they parted ways that year, her former classmates didn't know how Yun Jian was doing. After all, they hadn't seen each other for a few years. Not bad. Hearing the girl's question, Yun Jian said humbly. In spite of it, the girl thought that Yun Jian was not doing well and said sourly, "You're not doing well. You used to have such good grades, but you insisted on going to a military school. I already said that it's a place for men. What can a girl like you do if you go there? Are you regretting it now? Sigh, women should know their place. Why did you have to go to a military school?" The girl's words were laced with a hint of sourness that came out of nowhere. Yun Jian's eyes darkened. Before she could reply, Zhang Xiaofeng was already annoyed. He picked up a stone and threw it on the ground. He stood up and retorted, "What are you talking about? My master was the only military school student who won first place in the Z country's Special Forces selection. He represented Z country and went to the internationally famous hunting school to further his studies. What are you talking about? What do you know?" Book Guest House Reading Website. Chapter 2775. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. Zhang Xiaofeng's temper was a little irritable, especially when outsiders talked bad about Yun Jian in front of him. He was the first to lose his temper. This roar gave the girl in the floral dress a huge fright. This girl's mouth was not clean either. After being shocked by Zhang Xiaofeng, she glared at Zhang Xiaofeng. "You're speaking so loudly. Do you think I can't hear you? Isn't it just first place? What's there to be proud of?" Zhang Xiaofeng was angered by this girl's words. He was so angry that he wanted to punch her. In the end, he was stopped by Ling Yichen. "Why are you being so calculative? Sit down." This girl was obviously the type of person with a big mouth. When she saw that Zhang Xiaofeng was stopped by Ling Yichen and sat down, she wanted to boast again. "It's not like she went to some dangerous place. Isn't she still sitting in front of us and having a reunion with our classmates? She didn't win any glory for the country. She's acting like a hero." These words were directed at Yun Jian. After saying that, the girl even lifted the corner of her dress. She used a very reasonable tone that was directed only at Zhang Xiaofeng, as if she had never said anything bad about Yun Jian. She said to Yun Jian, "Yun Jian, I'm not targeting you. It's just that someone used a scolding tone to talk to me. No matter what, I can't just not talk back after being scolded, right?" In this world, there was a type of person who said very unpleasant things. The person who happened to hear it was very hot-tempered, just like Zhang Xiaofeng. The hot-tempered person was scolded as a troublemaker. This troublemaker with unpleasant words actually made himself sound like a reasonable person. If she had the same temper as Zhang Xiaofeng, even if she was angry with this girl, she would definitely be in a higher position in her words. No matter how angry Zhang Xiaofeng was, he had to hold it in. However, just as the girl finished speaking and gained the upper hand, Yiling suddenly spoke up in front of everyone. I grew up in a hunting school. Every year, a large number of the strongest special forces from all over the world would come to that place. Yun Jian is the only woman I've seen in all my years in the hunting school. In that place, there's an 80% chance that the people who are sent in will come out as a skeleton. I've seen too many of them. Those who can last until the end are definitely global elites. That kind of glory is enough to change the world's view of the country where the strong are from. As for Yun Jian, if she hadn't suddenly disappeared back then, Yun Jian would have been the undisputed number one. But even so, in the hunting school, the recognized number one, as well as the Z country that nurtured such a talent, has a much higher status in the world. Yun Jian, she's really a heroine. As soon as Yiling said that, the girl who had the upper hand in the argument with Zhang Xiaofeng earlier gulped hard and deflated. Yiling's words made the girl's face turn green and purple. She didn't even have a chance to fight back. Of course, this topic was quickly skipped. Not long after Yiling finished speaking, she suddenly caught a glimpse of Lin Wei, who had followed her from the foot of the mountain not far away. Her heart tightened. Go, make it clear to him. Yun Jian patted Yiling's shoulder and said calmly, Okay. Yiling mustered up her courage and walked towards Lin Wei. Yiling walked past Lin Wei and led him into a small bamboo forest. Then, she turned around and spoke to Lin Wei with all her strength. I'm sorry, I can't give birth to your child. Anyway, you won't have feelings for me. I think it's better to make things clear. Before she could finish her sentence, Lin Wei hugged her. Fiercely and tightly. Yiling couldn't break free. Just as Yiling's heart was throbbing, Lin Wei suddenly said, Don't go. In the end, Lin Wei added a sentence that was like a slap to his own face. I can't leave you. Adam said, it's because I've fallen in love with you. Book Guest House Reading Website. Chapter 2776. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. Lin Wei himself had a serious aura when he spoke. Any kind of words would sound very serious in Lin Wei's mouth. So when he opened his mouth, Yiling was stunned on the spot. She was so shocked by his words that she couldn't move. So don't go. Just when Yiling was shocked by Lin Wei's words, Lin Wei let go of Yiling and pressed down on Yiling's shoulders with both hands. He continued to shout at Yiling. A certain someone once said that he could give her anything other than love. This sentence was engraved in Yiling's heart, and she also understood her position. He would never fall in love with her. So from the start, Yiling had never thought of this possibility. She felt that she only liked him one-sidedly and had never yearned for his love. So when she heard Lin Wei's words, Yiling still couldn't come back to her senses. You really... But didn't you say that you could give me anything other than love, as long as I give birth to your child? Yiling couldn't help but feel her heart beating fast. She raised her head to look at Lin Wei and asked. At this moment, Yiling's heart flashed with warmth. It was a sweet feeling. Lin Wei didn't like to talk. At this moment, he reached out and grabbed Yiling's slender hand and placed it on his face. Hit me as you wish, forgive me. In Lin Wei's mind, the only way to solve problems was to win or lose in a battle. That's right, to put it bluntly, it was a fight. But when it came to Yiling, even if she hit him, he would never retaliate. Yiling's hand froze in midair when Lin Wei placed it on his handsome face. She looked surprised. If you feel that it's not enough, use this. Forgive me. Lin Wei raised his voice. At the same time, he took out a dagger from his belt and passed it to Yiling's other hand. Yiling was shocked by Lin Wei's actions. She raised her head and looked at him in shock. Lin Wei's face was filled with killing intent. Obviously, the murderous intent on Lin Wei's face was directed at him. He had bullied her until she ran away from home. He even had the intention to kill him. However, Yiling was instinctively frightened by the murderous look on Lin Wei's face. She held the dagger that Lin Wei stuffed into her hand and took a big step back. She was not afraid of Lin Wei, but she was frightened by the killing intent on Lin Wei's face. He had never acted like this in front of her before. At this moment, he seemed to have returned to his role as the chief instructor of the Han organization's assassin training camp. Lin Wei's directness shocked Yiling. She took a step back, and Lin Wei grabbed her hand that was holding the dagger. He wanted to drive her hand into his own body without hesitation. This was the most direct way for Lin Wei to apologize to Yiling. He didn't know why Yiling wanted to leave, but his first instinct was that he had done something wrong. Therefore, he had to ask for forgiveness. "What are you doing?" Yiling was shocked when she saw this. After all, she grew up in a hunting school. Yiling was a woman who had killed a lion with a dagger. She stopped herself from stabbing Lin Wei with her hand that was holding the dagger. Her other hand also grabbed the dagger and pulled it back. Fortunately, Lin Wei did not use his full strength. Yiling grabbed the dagger and threw it to the ground. She grabbed Lin Wei's clothes with both hands and said anxiously to him, "You didn't do anything wrong. It's my fault that I left. I can't give birth to your child. The doctor said that there's only a 1% chance that I can give birth to your child." So, Yiling was a little anxious when she said this. But as soon as she said this, Lin Wei covered her mouth and spoke first. "How can a child be more important than you? Don't give birth." Book Guesthouse Reading Website. Chapter 2777, page 1/1. To Lin Wei in the past, love was something that he would never touch in this world. Finding a woman to have children with was the most important thing. Other than that, he couldn't give women any so-called love, so having children was the most important thing. But now, he had to let Yiling leave his side forever. This was even more unacceptable than being unable to have children. "You?" Yiling looked up at Lin Wei in shock. The astonishment on her face was indescribable. Then you really don't mind that I can't have children?" Yiling still couldn't believe it. She looked up at Lin Wei and asked a question that she was afraid of, but also wanted to know the answer to. Is there a difference between being able to give birth or not? Unexpectedly, Lin Wei said such a sentence. "Then will your parents dislike me?" Yiling asked nervously. As soon as she finished asking, she paused and raised her head to look at Lin Wei. Lin Wei said, "I don't have parents." Yiling realized that she had asked the wrong question. She was about to apologize to Lin Wei, but Lin Wei didn't give her a chance to speak. He continued, "You're enough." Lin Wei was indeed someone who didn't know how to say sweet nothings, but in Yiling's ears, these few words were more moving than the words of any glib-tongued boy. Yiling was shrouded by Lin Wei's tall figure. She lowered her head slightly, but her cheeks were rosy. She nodded. "After 2 years, when you two have recovered, you could try IVF. As long as you have money, it won't be a problem." Just as Yiling was nestled in Lin Wei's arms and couldn't control herself, a woman's voice came from the side. Lin Wei wasn't surprised, but Yiling turned to look. Unbeknownst to them, Yunjian was already standing there. "Ah, Yunjian, when did you get here?" Yiling was so scared that she quickly extricated herself from Lin Wei's arms. From the beginning to the end, Yunjian smiled and snapped her fingers. After she finished, she turned around and said these words to Lin Wei before she left the place. "Treat her well." Lin Wei took Yiling away. The class reunion ended after the lively barbecue. Zhang Xiaofeng and Chun Sini were living a very happy life now. Because of Yin Jian's intervention, Zhang Xiaofeng and Chun Sini's parents revealed that they were not blood-related cousins. Only Zhang Xiaofeng and Chun Sini knew the truth. After returning home, Yin Jian received a letter. She didn't care about it first, but the moment she opened the envelope, her attention was attracted by the signature. It was a letter from Shunji, but Shunji hadn't personally sent it. The letter was from one of Shunji's subordinates. He said that Shunji had told him to find an opportunity to send this letter to her after she died. The content of the letter was very simple, with only a few short sentences. But the words had Shunji's style. 006. When you see this letter, I will no longer be alive. You are the goal of my life, but I'm sorry, it's not to surpass you. In order to find a reason to continue living, I couldn't sleep at night until I met you. 006. I'm saying all this to let you know that I don't value you that much. But thank you for appearing in my life. Even without me, you have to continue working hard. And 006, I love you. Translator, NE Translations Editor, NE Translations. When she came out of the martial arts club, she was followed by members of the martial arts club and many other students. Everything was fine. However, when Yun Jian came back to the university a few days ago, Peter, who was caught by Yun Jian stealing a treasure from Z Country's province and was later invited to join the kosher mercenaries, kept pestering her. As a matter of fact, Pete, who had been pestering Yun Jian for a few days after leaving the martial arts club, suddenly appeared and chased after her. In front of the martial arts club members and all the college students who passed by, he yelled at Yun Jian and made a big fuss about stealing. He was blatant about it. Snake. Lizard said that I can ask you to teach me things after I've been in the organization for 3 years. This is the privilege of the higher-ups. So hurry up and teach me how to steal. Hurry up and teach me the safest way to steal without being discovered. Book Guest House Reading Website. The little girl, Lu Ying, had always remembered Yun Jian and wanted to leave the mountains. Her academic performance was excellent. When she was in junior high school, she was in the top 3 in the entire H province. After the results of junior high school came out, it caused a sensation in H province. Countless schools threw football at the little girl, Lu Ying, wanting to invite her to enter junior high school to fulfill her wish of leaving the mountains and waive all the tuition fees. Unexpectedly, Lu Ying chose to come to Jiangchang City in Zhejiang Province to study in junior high school where Yun Jian studied. However, junior high school in Zhejiang Province did not waive tuition fees. Fortunately, the government subsidized it, so Lu Ying took the subsidy and worked at a junior high school in Jiangchang City. Compared to the 11-year-old Lu Ying 3 years ago, she had grown to be very lively. She was almost 6 meters tall. After running over from across the street, Lu Ying handed the cake she had brought back from work to Yun Jian and said shyly to Yun Jian, "Sister Yun Jian, this is for you." Chapter 2782. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation, page 1/1. Yo, little girl, you're quite pretty. Zhou Huntao whistled. This action made Lu Ying's face turn red. Have you learned the martial arts moves in the past 2 days? I'll check them one by one later. If you don't know, run around Jiangcheng City. Yun Jian saw Zhou Huntao flirting with Lu Ying and kicked him lightly. No. President, I'll go right away. Zhou Huntao staggered forward. As he ran, he turned his head and left Lu Ying a cool gesture. Little girl, come to our school more often and eat more. I'll wait for you to grow up. As he spoke, he ran away with a group of students from the martial arts club. President, we'll take our leave first. Mo Buffon said to Yun Jian and followed them. Lu Ying was left behind with a red face. Lu Ying's clothes were very shabby, and her clothes were patched with rags. Her twin ponytails were also very rustic, but she looked very pure. Because she was thin, the tight pants and tights were loose on her body and couldn't hold them up. Yun Jian took good care of Lu Ying when she came to Jiangcheng City. After all, the little girl came here because of her. Are you used to living here? Yun Jian saw that the people from the martial arts club had left. She turned to Lu Ying and asked, Yes, I'm very used to it. I used to yearn to live in a big city. Now that I'm in school, my classmates are very good to me. Even a manager of the cake shop, Lu Ying said with a smile. Her tone was relaxed. The manager of the cake shop was the one that Lu Ying worked for. Yes, Yun Jian nodded. In the end, she took out a black pen from her trouser pocket and wrote a phone number on Lu Ying's hand. Remember to lend me your phone if you need anything. Okay, thank you, Sister Yun Jian, but I'll be fine. Lu Ying held the phone number that Yun Jian wrote for her tightly in her hand. Then, Sister Yunjian, I'll go to work first, Lu Ying said, waving at Yunjian. She bared her teeth, turned around, and ran away. Seeing this, Yunjian pursed her lips and turned to walk towards the headquarters of the martial arts club. Lu Ying was working at the cake shop. It was already 10 o'clock in the evening when she got off work. Today, the cake shop owner had just given Lu Ying a month's salary. 500 yuan. Because it was a temporary job, the pay was not much, but for Lu Ying, it was already very good. Holding this sum of money, Lu Ying already had a plan in her heart. She wanted to buy a birthday present for Yunjian. Although Yunjian's birthday had already passed, she did not make it in time. This time, Lu Ying planned to give Yunjian a surprise. For some people, 500 yuan might be half a month's pocket money or 1 or 2 months' pocket money. But to Lu Ying, it was a huge number. She had to save a small portion and send it back to her hometown in H province, Wuzhen, for her mother, brother, and grandmother as living expenses. He left a little for his living expenses. Then, he would buy a present for Yunjian. Holding the 500 yuan, Lu Ying lowered her head and smiled slightly. She turned a corner and walked in the direction of the school. She had always lived in the school. But the moment Lu Ying turned the corner, she suddenly saw a few young men standing at the corner with a few baseballs and iron rods in their hands. Lu Ying instinctively stopped in her tracks. Just as she was about to turn around and take the long way back to the school, she saw that these young men with baseballs and iron rods had already surrounded her. One of them even pointed at the money she was protecting in her arms and blackmailed her confidently. "Hey, little girl, you're a student of Jiangxing Junior High School, right? Just now, we saw that the shop you worked at gave you a salary. Hee, we're a little short on money recently, so lend us some money to spend. In the future, we'll take care of you in Jiangxing. Whoever dares to bully you is bullying us." Book Guest House Reading Website. Lu Ying's mother was far away in H province. The cake shop owner said that Lu Ying's form teacher, Teacher Zhou, had gone to the police station on behalf of Lu Ying's parents. She said that she had found the boys who had committed the crime and was dealing with them. Yunjian did not choose to return to Longmen City. She went to the hospital and went to the local police station after seeing that Lu Ying had fallen asleep. When Zhou Huntao found out about this, he didn't go home. Instead, he hurriedly left with Yunjian. As soon as he arrived, he saw a woman standing at the door talking on the phone. This woman was none other than Teacher Zhou, the form teacher who had represented Lu Ying's parents in suing the boys who had committed the crime. According to the nurses in the hospital, it was Teacher Zhou who had paid for Lu Ying's medical fees. Just as Yunjian arrived, a few boys walked out of the police station, looking mighty and arrogant. I knew it. What could happen? We didn't hurt the girl on purpose. She's severely concussed and not dying. Can't we just get my mom to compensate us? That scared me. I thought something big was going to happen. Great. Now we have a reason to ask for more money from our parents. F*CK. We can't even afford to treat our girlfriends when we go out these few days. How embarrassing in front of a bunch of girls. The boys chatted with their arms around each other's shoulders as they walked out of the police station, looking like they were in a sloppy mood. That was right. These boys were the ones who had hurt Lu Ying. Judging by their behavior, they did not seem to have any intention of admitting their mistake. They even acted as if their injuries were not serious enough, and even the police had no right to care about them. Stop right there. After Teacher Zhou finished her call, she walked over to stop the boys. What's wrong, old woman? Among them, the most arrogant boy glanced at Teacher Zhou with a contemptuous expression and spoke rudely. My student was injured by you and sent to the hospital. Aren't you going to apologize and repent? Teacher Zhou was angry and wanted to reason with this group of people. Get out of the way. Old woman, if you speak again, I'll hit you too. After the most arrogant boy said this, he waved his fist but did not really hit her. After that, he clicked his tongue and led the group of people in another direction. Just as he glanced over, he saw a young girl in her early 20s. The young girl was wearing a tight white top and tight jeans, which accentuated her slim and seductive figure. The boy's eyes immediately lit up. The rather arrogant boy whistled and asked, "Little girl, which school are you from? Which school?" Before he could finish his sentence, Yun Jian raised her leg and kicked the boy's chin. The boy fell to the ground with his back facing the ground in a second. Why, shouldn't all the children in the village yearn for the outside world, the big city, be very friendly and peaceful? Why was it that when she came here, she suddenly realized that the perfect world that everyone was looking forward to was actually not so perfect? Were their expectations all this time right or wrong? As president, what does this little girl mean? Why can't I understand? Zhou Huntao scratched his head and asked while standing behind Yun Jian. Zhou Huntao naturally did not understand, because he had never experienced this kind of disappointment. Yun Jian did not answer Zhou Huntao. She just moved her red lips slightly. Under the gaze of Lu Ying and Zhou Huntao, she suddenly said to Lu Ying cruelly, "This world is not as perfect as you think. It is only more unbearable and cruel. If you can't get used to it, go home. At least you have a home to go back to now. Unlike me in the past, I always had myself behind me." Chapter 2785. Yin Jian did not wait for Lu Ying's answer. She left the hospital straight away. Zhou Huntao was about to leave, but when he saw that Lu Ying's emotions were unstable, he messed up his hair and shouted, "I'll go." Then, he ran out to make a phone call. He planned to stay in the hospital overnight to accompany Lu Ying. He had a loud voice and was not very mature, but he had a kind heart. Looking at Lu Ying's tiny frame, he pitied her, so he volunteered not to go home and stay with her. Longmen City, Qing Yu's house. It was a mess. Gun Yinji had left, lured back to Deity Continent by Li Nong. Long Mei had left, captured by Di Lin and brought back to Blood Doll. Si Luo and Luo Mei had left Longmen City a long time ago. Qing Yu began to let herself go. Currently, on the couch in Qing Yu's house. Qing Yu wore a tight white singlet. Her fair arms bared carelessly as she sat on the couch. Her legs that were only clad in a pair of loose shorts were propped up on the back of the couch that was higher than her, but he reached into the large bag of potato chips in his arms and threw them into his mouth. Crunch, crunch, crunch. He chewed on them until the chips were everywhere. There were also a lot of clothes scattered around. Qing Yu was watching the Calabash Brothers on the color TV in front of the couch with a frown, staring at it nervously. She had watched the Calabash Brothers so many times that she was sick of it, but every time she saw the important part where her grandfather was taken away by the sprite, she would tense up physically and mentally. It was a joy to watch it over and over again. Yun Yi shook her head and took off her apron helplessly, coming out of the kitchen where the dishes had just been cleaned. Halfway through her potato chips, Qing Yu suddenly hopped off the couch and ran to the fridge barefooted. She took out a sealed bottle of red wine and ran back to the couch, waving at Yun Yi. "Yin, Igij, Sister Jin gave me this bottle of red wine a while ago. It's expensive. Do you want to have a taste?" For some reason, Qing Yu had learned to call Yun Yi Igij in a coquettish voice since some time ago. The girl's soft voice tickled Yun Yi, making him tingle all over. He really wanted to press the tempting Qing Yu beneath him and play with her. Yun Yi suppressed her wicked thoughts and walked over to snatch the red wine from Qing Yu's hand, raising it high. "You're not allowed to drink." "Why? Why? Yun Yi, Gidge, it's fine if you don't want to drink with me, but why can't I drink too?" Qing Yu jumped up but could not reach Yun Yi's hand. She grabbed the corner of Yun Yi's shirt with one hand and pouted. "How many bottles of red wine has Xiao Jian given you? Drinking it every day isn't good for your health." Yun Yi walked to the sink and poured the red wine into the sink in front of Qing Yu, washing it away with the water. "No." "Yun Yi, Gidge, just a small sip. I'll agree to anything you want. Just a small sip, okay?" Qing Yu panicked when she saw that Yun Yi was about to empty the red wine. Making sure that there was only a little red wine, left in the bottle. Yun Yi stopped in time and looked at Qingyu with a smirk. Qingyu ran to Yun Yi from afar and leaned against Yun Yi, rubbing against his arm. Yun Yi, Gidge, I'll just drink a little. Her voice was so soft that Yun Yi could not control herself. You'll agree to anything? Yun Yi's breathing grew heavier. Qingyu nodded like a rattle drum. Yun Yi pressed Qingyu against the sink with one hand and lowered his head to whisper wickedly in her ear, making his request. Come to the bedroom with me. I'll return it to you after we're done with what we have to do. Chapter 2786. What Yun Yi said sounded like a boss of a business who was over 50 years old, had shifty eyes, and was not even as tall as Qingyu, but wanted to get a room with a young girl just because he was rich and powerful. It was a balding, beer-bellied boss who was clearly not supposed to be doing things his age, but relied on his wealth and power to force a woman to submit to him. Coming from Yun Yi, however, the words had a different meaning. It felt like it was only natural. Qingyu watched Calabash Brothers every day, but she understood what Yuni meant. Blushing, she pushed Yuni away and walked out of the kitchen with a pout. No, I'll just ask Sister Jian for another bottle of red wine. It's only a sip, I don't care for it. Just as she said that, Yun Yi's wicked expression did not change. He picked up the bottle of red wine and gulped down the last mouthful. Yun Yi never drank red wine. Qingyu was still walking toward her room with a pout, looking adorable and alluring. Yun Yi caught up to Qingyu in 3 long strides. When he was in front of her, he placed his hand on the back of Qingyu's head and lowered his head as well. It was a deep kiss that transferred all the red wine in his mouth into hers. It was a deep kiss that made Qingyu shy and bashful. When he let go, Qingyu wiped her lips with the back of her hand and jumped up to pat Yun Yi before running back to her bedroom. She even locked her bedroom door. I won't let him in. Bad guy. In the bedroom, Qingyu lowered her head again at the thought of Yun Yi feeding her red wine in such a way. Placing her hands on her cheeks, she patted them twice softly, planning to leave the bedroom after Yun Yi left her house. Too shy, too shy. Little Qingyu opened the door. Just as she stepped into the bedroom, Yun Yi's magnetic voice came from outside. There was even a hint of naughtiness in his voice. I'm not feeling well today. Can you help me throw away the trash in the living room and go home? I'll look for you tomorrow, and then we can go to the movies together. Qingyu's eyes darted around, her gaze drifting. The lie that came out of Qingyu's mouth was not entirely accurate. Qingyu and Yun Yi had been dating for almost 6 years. Other than kissing, hugging, and touching, there was nothing more intimate. However, Qingyu could already feel Yun Yi's eagerness. What do you feel uncomfortable? I'll show you. Yun Yi waited for Qingyu to finish before continuing, refusing to give up. There's no need for that. I'll be fine after a nap. Qingyu leaned against the door, listening for Yun Yi's departing footsteps. Who would have thought that just as Qingyu was putting all her strength on the door to hear if Yun Yi had left, the door was suddenly unlocked. Qingyu's center of gravity was on the door, so she fell out of the room when the door was suddenly opened. Yun Yi caught her in time, hugging the little liar Qingyu in his arms. He could not help but tickle Qingyu's nose, smiling wickedly at her. Looks like my little Qing, you're really not feeling well. Don't be afraid, I specialize in all kinds of discomforts. I guarantee that my little Qing you'll be alive and kicking again in a few hours. As he spoke, he half-squatted and carried Qingyu horizontally into the bedroom with his other hand. He kicked the door shut with his heel. He strode to the bed and tossed Qingyu on the bed, Yun Yi on top of her as well. 2 days later, Yun Jian suddenly received a piece of good news. Yi Ling was pregnant. Yi Ling originally thought that there was only a 1% chance. Yi Ling had already planned to have a test tube baby with Lin Wei in the future. She was even prepared to have a dink family. At most, she would not have children. Who knew that Yi Ling would actually be pregnant with a child in this 1% chance? When Yunjian went to see Yi Ling and Lin Wei, she happened to meet Yi Ling and Lin Wei at the gate. When Yi Ling saw Yunjian, she wanted to jump from the steps at the gate to the flat ground and hug Yunjian. However, as soon as she took a step and was about to jump down from the steps at the gate, Lin Wei grabbed her. Not only did he not let Yi Ling walk down the steps by herself, he even carefully carried Yi Ling in a princess carry. After carrying her down the steps, he put her on the ground. He even held her hand tightly and said bluntly, "Why are you running? What if I lose my child?" Book Guest House Reading Website. Perhaps to show off his youthful masculinity, Luo Qijuan whistled and seemingly accidentally swatted the basketball away, sending it flying to Yunjian. "Beauty, I accidentally knocked the basketball away. Help me kick the basketball back." When the basketball was about to roll in front of Yunjian, Luo Qijuan spoke. However, a scene that left everyone dumbfounded suddenly appeared. They saw Yunjian standing up in front of everyone. She put her hands in her trouser pockets and kicked the basketball that was rolling towards her. Originally, it seemed like a light kick, but unexpectedly, the basketball flew up in a perfect arc. In an instant, it directly hit Luo Qijuan, who was trying to act cool, in the face not far away. Everyone exclaimed, but they saw Yunjian glancing coldly at Luo Qijuan. She had already walked towards the basketball court and came in front of Mo Buffon and the others. In front of everyone, she said something to Luo Qijuan's team that made everyone stunned. 12-6. In the next half of the basketball game, the basketball team of Jiang City Media University, who is leading by 6 points, can forget about winning by 1 point. It was as if this place was going to be a showdown between him and Yunjian. Everyone else was just supporting characters for him and Yunjian, and he and Yunjian were going to be defeated by him in this match. The feeling that Yunjian would even change her attitude towards him was very obvious. Of course, this was Luo Qijuan's own thoughts. Just as he rolled up his sleeves and was about to put on a show, the basketball that Yunjian dug into the basketball hoop was suddenly thrown towards Yunjian at the speed of light and lightning. That speed was comparable to when Yunjian hit Luo Qijuan. Luo Qijuan, as well as everyone present, was shocked. Their first reaction was that Yunjian was going to be hit by the basketball like Luo Qijuan. After all, who could withstand such a fast speed? What no one expected, however, was that Yunjian dodged to the side 3 seconds before the basketball was about to hit her. At the same time, she lifted her leg at a 180 degrees angle and kicked the basketball back to where it came from with a force stronger than the inertia of the basketball. The person who threw the basketball at Yunjian was a girl in a short-sleeved shirt and shorts. When the girl saw that the basketball was kicked back by Yunjian, she flipped and barely dodged the ball in front of everyone. The girl was none other than Qingyu. The speed at which Yunjian and Qingyu dodged the basketball was not something a normal person could do. This scene shocked all the people around them to the point that they were stunned on the spot. Even Luo Qijuan's gaze had changed from his terrified expression. It was then that Qingyu took 2 big strides toward Yunjian. While the crowd was horrified that the 2 girls were so agile, she told Yunjian something that shocked everyone. "Huh, Sister Jian, we haven't competed in a basketball game for a long time. Want to play? If I win, bring me to Country M's biggest red wine exhibition next month and steal the world's most expensive red wine for me to drink." Chapter 2790. Putting aside the fact that Yunjian and Qingyu, who had appeared out of nowhere, possessed such frightening capabilities. Just the words that came out of Qingyu's mouth. What did she mean by bringing her to steal the world's most expensive red wine from Country M's biggest red wine exhibition if they won? Moreover, the words that came out of Qingyu's mouth made it sound like something that could not be any simpler. There's indeed a red wine exhibition in Country M next month, and it's called the world's biggest red wine exhibition. Many news reports have reported this beforehand, and it's considered the most sensational event in recent times. But the red wine exhibition next month will be attended by all the international tycoons. Even an insignificant fly won't be able to sneak in, let alone two girls like you. How is it possible Luo Qijuan had forgotten about the basketball match that was going on midway? He looked at Yun Jian and Qin Yu in a daze, his mouth agape when he heard what Qin Yu said. Luo Qijuan's words made sense. Of course, the international tycoons will attend the event themselves. Ordinary citizens like us don't even have the right to see the market. Just as Luo Qijuan finished, a girl who looked elegant and dignified walked out from the group of girls. As the young girl spoke, she was already standing beside Luo Qijuan. Of course, you guys are the same. You're just ordinary university students. The girl purposely reminded Yun Jian and Qin Yu's identities when she came to Luo Qijuan's side. Zhu, don't make it sound so bad. When Luo Qijuan saw the girl, displeasure that was hard to detect flashed across his face. The girl who was called Zhu was displeased when she heard that. Then, Zhu seemed to have recalled something as she put on a smug expression and looked at Luo Qijuan, speaking in an exaggerated tone. I would have forgotten if you didn't mention it. 8 years ago, Qijuan, wasn't Uncle invited to the world-shaking wine tasting conference? That global wine tasting conference can't be compared to the world's biggest red wine exhibition this time. It was known as the first wine appraisal conference in history. Not only did the big shots of the righteous path come, but it was also said that the underworld, underground secret agents, assassins, and so on were all present. Uncle, you were invited to participate in it openly. There's no need for you to sneak in. As she spoke, Zhu glanced at Yun Jian and Qin Yu. Her last sentence was directed at Yun Jian and Qin Yu. In the wine tasting conference 8 years ago, all the best and most expensive wines in the world were present. As for why it was called the first wine tasting conference in history, it was not only because the wine was the best and most expensive wine in history, but also because at the end, a big shot of unknown origin had spent a total of 5 billion RMB to buy all the wine, one by one, at a high price. During the wine auction, no matter who offered a higher price, that person would raise the price to an unacceptable level. In the end, the bottle of wine was won by that person. This incident blew up the entire world and refreshed people's understanding of wealth. Luo Qijuan's father had also been invited to participate in that wine tasting conference. It was something to be proud of. Although Luo Qijuan did not like Zhu, he could not hide the smugness on his face when he heard it from Zhu. Luo Qijuan, who was being praised by all the girls around him, suddenly heard Qin Yu telling Yun Jian something that shocked everyone. Could the wine tasting conference 8 years ago be the one held in New York of M country? Sister Jian, didn't you buy those wines for 5 billion? They're all still with the master now. A few of them are moldy. You bought so much that you can't finish them. They don't taste good either. It's such a waste just thinking about it. Beauty, give me your phone number. Let's keep in touch. As he spoke, he even reached out his hand, as if he wanted Yun Jian to give him her number, just like how young men and women would do when they met each other, or when they didn't have their notebooks with them. Qin Yu clicked her tongue, almost bursting out in laughter. Yun Jian remained unmoved with a nonchalant expression, just as Luo Qijuan was about to use another method. Coming, Qin Yu suddenly extended her arm and waved to the side. Right, Sister Jian, I'm not actually here to play basketball with you today. I'm here with someone to look for you. Qin Yu turned to explain to Yun Jian before standing aside. He saw a burly man with a height of 9 meters, who was wrapped tightly from head to toe, walking over. He was tall, but his gait was as nimble as a leopard's. The newcomer was none other than Tiger Bao, who stood side by side with Snake, Lizard from the Kosha mercenaries. When Tiger Bao arrived, he greeted Yun Jian respectfully in front of everyone. Sister Jian, This was not a strange thing. However, just as everyone was wondering who this burly man who covered himself up was, the burly man who was standing in front of them suddenly changed his appearance. Luo Chijuan's eyes widened as he shuddered. Looking at Tiger Bao, his hand met Tiger Bao's like a spring, and he exclaimed at him in front of everyone who was watching the show. "Look at you! The man who bought all the wine at a high price at the wine tasting event 8 years ago that I mentioned to my dad is exactly the same. My dad even showed me a photo of him at the auction. You're the tycoon who rocked the world 8 years ago. Except for Zhe province, that is under our direct jurisdiction, the other provinces have their own managers. In fact, many district managers are already thinking of breaking away from Falcon Hall and becoming the head of their own faction with their subordinates. If they don't agree to relocate all of Falcon Hall's forces overseas, I'm afraid they'll use this opportunity to strike back at us. Falcon Hall's influence was spread across the country now, but each province had its own manager. Zhe province was the headquarters, so it was under Yin Jian and Su Zetian's direct jurisdiction. As for the managers of other places, they had made friends with a bunch of their own people and were already thinking of stripping Falcon Hall of their own. Relocating overseas was not as simple as it seemed. Everyone knew that Yun Jian had been to the future world. Country Z's future could not tolerate the existence of gangs. Falcon Hall's best choice now was to relocate overseas in the next few years. However, this was a huge project. Not everyone would listen to Yun Jian or Su Zetian. Not everyone was as loyal to Yun Jian as Su Zetian was. Although the group of old men did not say anything, they had never been convinced that it was a gang founded by a woman. While Su Zetian was frowning with a troubled expression, Yun Jian's nonchalant and lethal words rang in the air, laced with a thick murderous intent. No one can change the decision that I, Yun Jian, have made. Those who don't cooperate with Falcon Hall subordinates in other provinces will be kicked out of Falcon Hall. Managers, kill those who start trouble. Annihilate those who set up gangs on their own. Leave no one alive. Chapter 2793. Yun Jian's words were like an order that could not be disobeyed, ringing out majestically and sending chills down the spine. Hearing that, Su Zetian, who still had a lot of concerns, felt his blood boil again as he answered with the same words. Yes. Kosher mercenaries usually did not interfere with Falcon Hall's affairs. Of course, if Falcon Hall had reached a point where it could not be controlled, kosher mercenaries would step in depending on the situation. After receiving the order, Su Zetian returned to Country Z first, planning to inform the managers of all provinces about Falcon Hall's overseas relocation as soon as he could. At that time, it would be clear which managers would stand on his side and which managers would want to lead their brothers and set up their own businesses. Of course, this matter could not be left to Su Zetian. It was just that Su Zetian had to be the one to start it. Sister Jian, you've been to the future world. Does that mean Falcon Hall in the future world? Qingyu propped her chin adorably and asked Yun Jian after Su Zetian left. Yun Jian from the future world had died in 2016, dying together with a mysterious person. Now that history had changed, Yun Jian would not die in the future. However, Yun Jian from the future had died. Falcon Hall then no longer had Yun Jian as its backer. The consequences were indescribable. Yun Jian nodded. After a pause, she looked up at Qingyu and continued. In 2017, the last group of Falcon Hall members were disbanded. No gangs are allowed to exist in Country Z in the future. Falcon Hall was Su Zetian's hope for the rest of his life. Without Falcon Hall, Su Zetian had no future. In addition, he was arrested and imprisoned. In early 2018, he lost all hope in life and committed suicide in prison. This was Falcon Hall and Su Zetian's future. She, on the other hand, was going to defy the heavens. Just as Yin Jian left kosher mercenaries, she saw Ce. Not only did she see Ce, she saw the girl and the child as well. The girls were still young, but they had already learned how to walk. See, he had a hand in his pocket as he looked at Yun Jin dotingly. The little girl and the little fellow were both standing on the ground. He didn't know what they were playing, but their laughter was crisp and carried a hint of happiness. Just like that, see, he let the little girl and the little guy run back and forth, shuddering and giggling, ignoring them. His dark eyes were fixed on Yun Jian. There was only Yun Jian in his eyes. He strode over to Yun Jian's hand and pulled her toward an ordinary street in Country M. The girls had just learned how to walk. When they saw Yun Jian and Si Yi walking toward the street, the two little cuties were like butterflies dancing around Yun Jian and Si Yi. They were extremely happy. When they reached the downtown area, the girl was tired from playing. She walked over and grabbed Yun Jian's finger. She looked at the passers-by in a daze and even shrank towards Yun Jian, looking a little scared. The child was different. He rushed to a snack shop and shouted, "Eat, eat," wanted to rush in. Si Yi grabbed him roughly. The child was unhappy. As he walked forward, he deliberately stopped in front of Si Yi and pointed at the snack shop, not letting Si Yi go forward. He shouted, "I want to eat, I want to eat, I want to eat, I want to eat." Si Yi was like a human trafficker. He kicked the child lightly and walked forward. However, his hand was still holding Yun Jian's little hand. Just as the two of them walked through two streets with the two children, two policemen in Country M's uniforms suddenly appeared in front of them. The two policemen looked at each other and then stopped Si Yi. They glanced at the child's ugly face, as if he had been abused by Si Yi. They spoke to Si Yi smoothly in English. "Hello, we are from the nearby police station. We just received a report from passers-by that you are suspected of kidnapping children. Please come with us. Come. Wonderful book house." Chapter 2794. Si Yi lowered his head slightly and kissed Yun Jian's rosy lips, who was lying on his lap in front of everyone. He even oh my God, he's so unrestrained. A group of foreign men who passed by from afar and merely took a few more glances at Yun Jian because they were attracted by her beauty exclaimed in surprise and turned to leave as if they were fleeing for their lives. Si Yi's hand was now placed on Yun Jian's ample bosom through her clothes. He was doing something unspeakable. Yun Jian only opened her eyes after lying on the beach for more than an hour under the setting sun. The two little guys were already fast asleep on her lap. In the end, Yun Jian and Si Yi each carried one of them and brought the kosher mercenaries back. That night, the little fellow and the little girl slept soundly. Even their snores were loud enough to shake the heavens. It was obvious that they were really tired. On Hun Group, Shuang had just returned to his and Si Luo's cozy little home after a busy day. He searched the house, but could not find Si Luo. Si Luo was 5 to 6 months pregnant, and the baby bump was already showing. Shui Ying's first reaction when he could not see Si Luo was to dash to Mo's son and grab him by the collar. Mo's son, where did your wife take my woman? Shui Ying clenched his fists slightly as he spoke, looking like he was really going to pick a fight with Mo's senior cough. They went to the young mistress' house first. It's Country Z's festival today, the Dragon Boat Festival. They said they're gathering to eat dumplings and asked us to go with them later. Mo's son pushed Shuang away and walked out after straightening his collar. As An Hun Group had their own private helicopter, it was very convenient to travel from An Hun Group to the province's Longmen City. It was already night when Mo's son and Shuang arrived at Longmen City. Just as they opened the door to Yun Jian's villa, they were greeted by a lively crowd. Si Luo, whom Shuang had been thinking about, was sitting on a bench in the living room, helping Qin Yiru wrap dumplings. Although the dumplings didn't look good and didn't look delicious, in general, it was very good that a newbie could wrap the dumplings like this. Seeing this, Shui Ying's heart warmed, and he walked over as well. Before this, Si Luo had ignored him for a long time. Si Luo wanted to know how he got the scar on his neck. Shui Ying refused to say anything. Si Luo was a little angry. She wanted to hug Si Luo from behind, but she did not expect Si Luo to sense Shui Ying. She turned around and saw Shui Ying trying to hug her secretly. She was so angry that she pouted. Her hand was still stuck with the rice used to make dumplings. She stood to the side and avoided Shui Ying. She said that you bullied her. Shuang, let me tell you, Luo is my best friend. If you bully her, I will fight you to the death. Luo Mei sat at the side. Seeing that Si Luo had run off, she didn't even have time to wipe her hands. She raised her hand and placed her fingers on the handsome snow eagle, except for the frightening scar on his neck. Luo Berry and Si Luo had become best friends. Hey, Brother Wang, tell me, how did you make sister-in-law angry? Be careful that she doesn't run away. Adam went to Shui Ying's side and put an arm around his shoulder, gossiping like a good buddy. Wang Er was a name that Adam had randomly given to him in order to fool Shui Ying back then. Shui Ying's attention was on Si Luo, so he did not mind how Adam called him. To quickly vent Si Luo's anger, he told him about how Si Luo had asked about the scar on his neck and how he had angered Si Luo by refusing to tell him. Hearing this, Adam moved closer to Shui Ying. Instead of helping Shui Ying, he asked curiously, Chapter 2795. Hearing Adam's words, Shui Ying's eyes darkened. No, sister-in-law asked you, so just tell her. What's there to hide? This woman just wants to hear the truth from you. She doesn't care about what you've been through in the past. What's there to hide? Face or wife? Which is more important? Adam thought that Shui Ying was unwilling to tell because he was hurt and embarrassed, so he tried to persuade him. In fact, Adam also wanted to know how Shui Ying got his scar. After all, this scar directly reduced Shui Ying's handsomeness. Originally, in terms of appearance, Shui Ying was much better than the other three leaders of the Enhan organization. Shui Ying frowned. Just as he was about to reject Adam's words, he suddenly saw Si Luo, who had run away just now, walk back. Si Luo was looking in Shui Ying's direction, her beautiful eyes sparkling as if she wanted to hear Shui Ying's answer. Shui Ying's face darkened, and he decided not to say anything. Si Luo pursed her lips. Seeing Shui Ying's reaction, she walked away again. Shui Ying wanted to go forward, but Adam stopped him. All right, don't go. She'll be angrier if you go. Half an hour later, everyone who was supposed to be here was here. The four leaders of the Enhan organization were all present. No one knew what had gotten into Adam as he tugged at Immo's son and took the lead to talk about the past between him and Immo's son before they got together. Immo's son and I used to have a surname Zhou. We didn't have parents since we were young, so we wandered many places. In order to survive, Immo's son even fought with homeless people for leftovers in the trash. But he was too young, so he was no match for homeless people in their 20s or 30s. Immo's son was often beaten until his head bled, and he always hid his wounds from me. After I found out, I made a blood oath that I would never call him brother Immo's son again. I wanted to be his brother and protect him. This was why Adam and Immo's son were biological brothers, but they never called him brother. Adam's rambling was like a heavenly flower, but Snow Eagle, who was listening by the side, remained silent. Shui Ying naturally had his reasons for not saying anything. Everyone had their own past. Later on, we were taken in by the young master. Lin Wei, what about you? What did you do before you met the young master? Adam finished talking about his past and turned to look at Lin Wei. Under everyone's gaze, Lin Wei did not hide anything. He used his usual simple words to describe his past. My entire family was killed. Revenge. Lin Wei used to be his parents' treasure, but one day, his entire family was killed for no reason. Since Lin Wei and his sister were not at home, they managed to escape. However, when they got home, his sister found that something was wrong at home. She hid him downstairs and told him not to make a sound if he saw anything. Then, she rushed upstairs. His sister had been thrown down from the third floor by her enemy. Her head was on the ground, and her brain was splattered everywhere. Lin Wei had a mysterious calmness since he was young. At that time, he didn't go out, but he secretly memorized the appearance of his enemy. She hadn't been with C.E. for long, but she had already taken her revenge. Among the four leaders of the Enhan organization, other than Shui Ying, the other three had already revealed their backgrounds. Everyone looked at Shui Ying. Shui Ying wanted to reject him on the spot, but Si Luo was staring at him expectantly and angrily, as if he wouldn't forgive him if he didn't say anything. Shui Ying paused, sighed, and said, Chapter 2796. There were similarities and differences between Shui Ying and Si Luo's experiences. When Si Luo's father abused her in front of her and beat her mother to death, she was so angry that she accidentally stabbed her own father to death. Shui Ying's family didn't do anything and even treated Shui Ying well. However, Shui Ying's family offended a powerful force. That powerful force captured Shui Ying's entire family and gave Shui Ying, who wasn't even 5 years old, two choices. 1. He could destroy his own family with his own hands and let them live. 2. That group of people would kill everyone in his family, including him on the spot. A child who wasn't even 5 years old not only understood what this meant, but also chose the former decisively and killed everyone in his family. It would be a lie to say that he wasn't ruthless. Although Shui Ying killed all those people who let the tiger return to the mountain. Although Shui Ying's strength wasn't the strongest among the 4 leaders of Han, his ruthlessness was the cream of the crop. It was because of this that Ce allowed Shui Ying to use Han's identity to negotiate with other organizations and people on the international stage. When it was time to be ruthless, he would be more ruthless than anyone else. When something happened, he would slip away faster than anyone else. Although this was not the behavior of a person with moral character, it was indeed the basic behavior that a person who mingled in this circle should follow. Hey, young master, did you know about Shui Ying's background long ago? No wonder you didn't let me replace Shui Ying when I wanted to. Adam put his arm around Shui Ying's shoulders and shook his legs as he looked at Ce with a roguish expression. You could try. Shui Ying will give you his position. Ce stood at the side. His newly trimmed black hair was unusually bright under the light in the room. Under his handsome face, his lips were especially eye-catching. No. I don't want it. Even if you send me to Africa, the Hazara Desert, or the Amazon, I don't want Shui Ying's position. What a joke. When I replace Han, I'll be chased 9 out of 10 times when I go to the washroom. I don't want this kind of life. Adam waved his hand at Ce as if he had heard something that made people cower from the bottom of their hearts. What a joke. He wasn't looking for death. Shui Ying's job was to represent Han in the underworld. When people couldn't find Ce, 3 of the 4 leaders of Han would naturally target Shui Ying. Shui Ying's ability to escape was much better than Adam's. After all, he was experienced after so many years of escaping from unknown assassinations. Adam didn't experience that he didn't even have the chance to pee in the washroom before he was done. Cough. How did you know that Shui Ying was running wild? Peeing. Emo-san put his fist to his mouth and coughed dryly. How of him didn't know that Shui Ying had had such a scandal? Bro, he told me. There was one time when he almost had his manhood cut off while he was peeing. Luckily, it was only a small cut. TSK. Adam didn't notice Shui Ying's murderous gaze as he continued. Yin Jian, Luo Mei, Lung Mei, Qin Yuru, Guxian, Yin and the rest didn't hear what was said. But the worst thing was that Adam was afraid that things wouldn't get out of hand, so he suddenly raised his voice. In the next second, everyone in the room heard Adam's loud voice talking about Shui Ying. Chapter 2797. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. Page 1/1. Before he could finish a sentence, Shui Ying's hand formed into an eagle's claw and attacked Adam. That speed almost made Adam's head get hit by Shui Ying's claw, and he would be the first one of the 4 leaders of Han to be killed. Luckily, Adam dodged to the side and avoided Shui Ying's claw. Luckily, Shui Ying didn't really want Adam's life. Adam grabbed Shui Ying's wrist and didn't let Shui Ying get close to him. At the same time, he cursed, "Damn, what are you doing? Are you trying to kill me? We're from the same roots. Why are you in such a hurry to kill each other? We've already slept together so many times, and we've even seen each other naked so many times. If I was killed by your claw just now, you'd feel so guilty." As soon as he said this, Everyone who was looking over couldn't help but cough dryly and look away. Adam's words didn't explain his relationship with Snow Eagle. Instead, it made his relationship with Snow Eagle even more passionate. Everyone knew that among the 4 leaders of Hun, Lin Wei and Mo San had similar personalities, so they had a good relationship. Adam and Shui Ying had similar personalities, so they had a good relationship too. But they didn't expect their relationship to be exposed to this extent. Compared to feeling guilty, I'd rather you die right now. Shui Ying's face was green as he said to Adam, half-jokingly. Adam was still holding onto Shui Ying's wrist, so it was as if their hands were still tightly clasped together. Lan Su, who was standing at the side, rubbed her forehead helplessly. Si Luo was dumbfounded. She looked at Shui Ying, then at Adam. Was she disturbing them by being here? What an exciting show. TSK. One of the 4 leaders of Hun, Adam, and Shui Ying were gay before TSK. Lung Mei had taken a dumpling from the kitchen and was eating it as she stood beside Yunjian. She seemed to have made a big discovery. Damn, this woman, what are you talking about? Do you believe I won't twist your head off? Adam immediately glared at Lung Mei when he heard that. Sister Jian, I'm on your side. This person who's not with us said he's going to twist my head off. You're the one who's at a loss, Sister Jian. Lung Mei hugged Yunjian's arm abruptly and rubbed her ample bosom against Yunjian, whining. This was the reason why she walked to Yunjian's side. Adam was Si Yi's subordinate, so Yunjian would definitely protect her. You want to work under me in her place? Hearing Lung Mei's words, Yunjian only calmly looked at Adam. To be honest, when Adam worked under Si Yi, the most he would do was to stay by Si Yi's side and help Si Yi with some trivial matters. He didn't have anything important to do. Yunjian's words were clearly telling Adam that if he dared to touch Lung Mei, he would have to bear the consequences in the future. No, young madam, I was just joking. Just kidding. Adam quickly waved his hands. She thought that Yunjian would avert her gaze and let it go like she did in the past. Who knew that Yunjian would stare at him like she would not stop until he gave her an explanation? Adam could clearly feel that the young master he feared the most was slowly shifting her gaze to him. He wiped away his sweat. To divert Yunjian's attention, Adam had successfully betrayed his best buddy and revealed the shocking news loudly. Cough, cough. Young madam, Shui Ying and I aren't the only ones who were gay. From the time we joined in Hun until 2 years ago, Lin Wei and Mo San slept in the same room every time they met. They even took a bath together every day, the kind where they bathed each other. Translator, Henyi Translations Editor, Henyi Translations. Chapter 2798. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation, page 1/1. Yunjian's eyes flickered when she heard that. Her lips that were flat and indifferent curled up as if she had heard some interesting tidbit. Adam had betrayed his brother and successfully avoided the punishment that the young master was about to pass on to him. Offending the young madam was the same as offending the young master. If one were to ask Adam what he was afraid of, it would probably be offending Yunjian. Seeing that the punishment on Si Yi's face had gradually faded, Adam didn't even have time to relax before he saw Mo San and Lin Wei glaring fiercely at him. Their gazes were as though Adam had suddenly exposed a secret that had been hidden for many years. It was as though a river beast had met a living person and wanted to tear him apart, especially Lin Wei's ability. He was the strongest among the 4 leaders of the Dark Soul organization. Cough. Brother, I didn't do it on purpose. I didn't do it on purpose. I didn't do it on purpose. I didn't promise you guys to keep this a secret. I see that the weather outside is pretty good. I'll go out and bask in the sun. Adam said, waving his hand. At this moment, the sky was dry and the ground was dry. The night was lonely and the sun was nowhere to be seen. After Adam slipped out, Lin Wei glanced at everyone and immediately chased after him without saying a word. Shui Ying shouted at Adam, who had just rushed out of the door, "Don't run if you have the guts." Then, he chased after him. Lin Wei and Shui Ying chased after Adam, and soon disappeared from everyone's sight. Emosen didn't chase after them and didn't care about Adam. He stood on the spot and didn't make a sound, until he caught a glimpse of Luo Berry lowering her head slightly and walking towards the rooftop of the villa unsociably when no one was looking. Emosen didn't care about Adam's situation and chased after Luo Berry. Luo Berry and Emosen's relationship stopped at the kiss that Emosen had kissed her. Since then, there had been no further progress. Although Luo Berry had been following Emosen as though she had received orders from her family to stay by Emosen's side and not go back, Emosen didn't do anything to her. Other than the kiss that day, the two of them still did not directly expose this layer of their relationship. Above friends, but not yet lovers. This was referring to Lockberry and Mawson. Emosen followed Rockberry to the rooftop. As soon as Luo Berry arrived, he dialed a number with trembling hands. "Hey, Dad, is that you, Dad? Dad, tell Grandpa that I don't want to stay here anymore. I want to go back." "Why?" "He won't like me, and I won't accept this kind of love that is obtained by using others. Besides, he already has someone he likes." "Dad, I beg you to beg Grandpa to let me go home. I want to go back to school. I don't want to be here anymore." Rockberry spoke to the other end of the phone in an almost pleading tone. When the head of the Luo family, Luo Berry's grandfather, found out about Emosen's identity, he wanted to make use of Emosen's feelings for Luo Berry. He wanted Luo Berry to follow Emosen and benefit from him. It would be best if Emosen could marry Luo Berry. Without waiting for his father to speak, Luo Berry continued, And he already has someone he likes. Yes, it's a man. He doesn't like and won't like women." As soon as he finished speaking, before Luo Berry could finish, his phone was suddenly snatched from the air. With a beep, the call was hung up on Mawson. In the next second, Luo Berry's phone was smashed into pieces not far away by Mawson, who said that a mature and steady person could be mature and steady for a lifetime. Some people could become murderers if they were forced into a corner for a lifetime. When Mawson heard that Luo Berry was leaving, he panicked. As expected of Adam's biological brother, even if their personalities were different, the things they did when they were anxious were somewhat similar. After he smashed Luo Berry's phone, his first reaction was to press Luo Berry on the dark rooftop and tear off his short skirt and pants. Then, he unbuckled his belt. After wearing his top and being intimate, he did not do anything else. Instead, he caressed her delicate cheeks, his eyes shining with possessiveness. "Where are you going?" "Who said that I like men? Why don't you give it a try and see if I like men?" Translator, King Bao. Editor, King Bao. Chapter 2799. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation, page 1/1. The old man nodded when he heard Li Nong's words. Just like how he used to ask those disciples who were chasing after love, he spoke earnestly. "Since you're so infatuated with the one you love, then—" Wait a minute, something was not right. When the old man said this, he stroked his long white beard and turned his gaze to Li Nong. After 2 seconds of silence, he seemed to have suddenly realized what Li Nong had just said. He spoke to Li Nong mechanically. "B-Butt is big and soft and comfortable to touch. This is the reason why you're willing to give up your future to like that woman?" Cough, 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 cough. He was old and could not understand the young man's thoughts. The old man coughed madly and waved at Li Nong. Go, go. Go find that woman who has a big and soft, but that you like and that's comfortable to touch." In Yunjian's house, the group did not find it strange when Emosen and Luo Mei, who were upstairs, did not come down. They continued chatting. After Long Mei and Lon Su helped Qin Yiru wash the dishes, everyone in the house sat in front of the TV after dinner to watch the Calabash Brothers that had been on repeat recently. Qin Yu sat at the front. Xiao Yunju, Duan Li, Duanya, the little girl, and the little one were obedient. They sat behind Qin Yu obediently and watched the Calabash Brothers on the TV with wide eyes, enjoying themselves. Grandpa is being taken away. Ah, Calabash Brothers, go save Grandpa. Quick. When they reached the most exciting part, Joey ran was like a mischievous child. He stood up from the foam mat excitedly and made two punching motions with his hands. It was very comical. TSK, TSK. So childish. Xiao Yunju was past the age of innocence and was about to enter puberty. Whether it was his height or his mentality, he had matured a lot. The group of children were enjoying the show. Be it Adam, Shui Ying, Lin Wei, or even Yun Jian and Ce, they would not fight for the remote control. Just then, the door opened. A young man's domineering figure appeared in front of everyone. It was Li Nong. Li Nong glanced left and right before his gaze landed on Yun Jian. Lord Witch Goddess, where's Gun Yinji? She's at the garden in the nearby neighborhood. She's learning to dance. Lung Mei Hu answered Li Nong for Yun Jian. Furthermore, when Lung Mei said these words, he even carried a gloating tone. After Li Nong heard this, he didn't think much and turned to leave. Yun Jian was in Longman's Ons the Villa, was in translation in the Villa Forest. There was a large square near the community garden. People from nearby communities would come here to take a stroll or exercise after dinner. It was a pleasant life. Speaking of the square, there was naturally square dancing. Li Nong had just arrived here and glanced around when he saw a group of aunties not far away. They were stretching their necks and stretching their arms, swaying left and right to perform the latest popular double square dance. On the other side, Gun Yinji had just finished her solo square dance with a group of aunties. Because she didn't have a partner, she lowered her head in disappointment. She felt a different gaze on her, so she looked up. The moment she saw Li Nong, she was instantly energized. The next moment, she rushed in front of Li Nong and grabbed his hand. Li Nong was delighted to see that. Could it be that she liked him too? Just as the thought formed in his mind, Gun Yinji's next words shocked him. You're just in time. Lung Mei and Qing Yu, those idiots, aren't willing to dance double square dance with me. What do you mean it's embarrassing? Embarrassing my foot. Quick, come and dance double square dance with me on their behalf. I've been looking forward to it for a long time, but I couldn't find a partner. Translator, Henyi Translations Editor. Henyi Translations. You're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.